be it.
Nice. It's good doing a podcast with somebody who's comfortable being on camera, because usually I have to like, you know, when I've been doing interviews with other people, I slyly set up the camera and then we start, and then they're not aware of the camera, but you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
You got to put it like a little closer up there.
Oh yeah, it's a dynamic mic, so I'm not really used to it. Yeah.
So what's going on, Almonte?
Chilling, dodging COVID.
Trying to. Yeah. I mean, we're kind of risking ourselves right now a little bit.
Right.
I'm also Asian, so the likelihood.
Nah, man.
Half. There's been a lot of Asian hate crimes. Have you seen all that?
Yeah, I've seen it. That shit is crazy. Like, and a lot of it wasn't even talked about a lot. Like, I heard that there was like a whole stabbing and all that, and it was just like
mostly in
crazy.
Brooklyn, like stabbings, and there was one woman who got in Brooklyn. Like,
I didn't know that was Brooklyn.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
I think it was at Crown Heights.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I did not expect that, but I get away with it, like because of the ambiguity. Like I never have experienced like any racism, except when I was a kid a couple times, but nobody ever assumes anything.
Right. Yeah. Most of the racism I experienced was on Xbox Live.
Yeah.
and at that point, it's like everyone's an N-word on Xbox Live. So it's like,
I've been called an N-word on Xbox Live.
Yeah. Even if you're white, it's
even white kids.
It's for everybody at that point on Xbox.
It's just part of Call of Duty.
Right. It's just the culture of it. But it's crazy. Like the whole, like all the race relations, like especially between like Chinese Americans and Black Americans, and like, you know, Africans in China, and the actual like Chinese people that live in China. But
you see the stuff going on in China. They're not letting black people into their stores.
Right. And it was like crazy because a lot of black people were, you know, defending the Chinese Americans against the hate crimes here and stuff. And then once that happened, it was like, oh, see, this is why we can't support their businesses. This is why, and it's just like, China is a very huge place.
Yeah.
You can't judge the Chinese Americans here in America for what's going on all the way in China in like a particular town. Like,
yeah, I would say that the anger should be directed at the Chinese government.
Right.
Like there's 1 billion in the Chinese government. They've been guilty of a lot of such shit. They've been lying about all the COVID deaths. They've been segregating black people. So especially the conspiracy they have with TikTok, they're trying to infiltrate social media more. They're being fishy.
You saw the blackout that happened recently?
No.
Like I think a couple of days ago, a bunch of black creators like basically boycotted TikTok, and they just got off of TikTok. And I think other people of color too, like we're just like, we're not gonna get on TikTok like the whole day. Just black out for the whole day. Don't get on it. Don't
for
upload.
1 day.
I'm not sure if it was for 1 day or what, but I just heard it was a blackout. I'm really not on TikTok like that, but somebody told me it was like, yeah, like people are boycotting because of black content being stolen. And also because of
your stuff gets stolen all the time. That shit is annoying.
My shit was already getting stolen, and on TikTok is like, it's almost like the culture of TikTok to steal shit because it's like, oh, here's the audio, but then someone
that's
can
the basis of it.
Right.
It's based on Musical.ly. It's just lip syncing other stuff.
Exactly, and someone will take my audio from YouTube, upload
from years ago,
and then like they get the credit for the audio, and it's just like millions and millions, like I'm pretty sure billions of views, like collectively of all my shit, and just like.
So that video in particular, Real Men Suck Dick, it was a satire of toxic masculinity, right?
Right. It was a satire on a lot of things. Like it was kind of like toxic masculinity. It was on the music industry. It was about capitalism and like kind of a manufactured morality, like how you wouldn't do one thing for money, but you would do another thing for money. Oh, okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, like, so you see it as disrespectful to suck dick for money, but you don't see it as disrespectful to work for a job that you hate for money. Like where's the line? You know what I'm saying? As degrading yourself. But when it comes to sex, people see that as more degrading than any kind of other job.
Why do you think that is?
Just because people have a stigma of sex, especially when it comes to dick. Like, there's a reason why I said dick and not like, would you eat some pussy for $1 billion? Everybody would be like, oh yeah, fuck it.
Even women would say that.
Of course. Like, even straight women would have been like, well, yeah, fuck it. Because a woman can go and eat some pussy and have all the experimentation that she wants, and no one will see her as gay. If a man just holds a nigga's hand, you're gay for life. Like, there's no turning back. And that's because...
Yeah, that's true.
Right. It's because we live in a very male-centered society where...
Especially in the hood. I bet that stigma is even stronger in Harlem.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The gender expression is not a thing here at all.
Nah. Well, in Harlem, I would say out of all of the hoods I've ever been to, Harlem is probably the like where you could dress however the fuck you want to dress, and you could be as weird as you want. and people won't really look at you funny. Like they will just, it's kind of whatever to
You
them.
think that's a New York City attitude that we see people who look strange or look different and we just ignore them?
Yeah, it's very normalized. But
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Like
You don't get weird looks?
Not in Harlem. Other places I get weird looks. Funnily enough, like I feel like in white spaces I get weird looks more. Like if I go like downtown, like Tallahassee, not downtown, down south.
That's way downtown.
Yeah, that's way downtown. Tallahassee, Florida, or like Kentucky and shit like that. But in Harlem, like there's a lot of trans folk, there's a lot of sex workers, there's a lot of just people that are like deviant to the status quo. So I guess we're just very used to it. Like people are very used to like so many different expressions of gender.
Do you have a strict way you identify as? Or
Well,
do you just say non-binary that you don't?
Yeah, I'm non-binary. I'm agender. So that I don't really fit the mold of like a woman or man. Like so that like I have a very different experience when it comes to gender expression. Like, usually binary trans people, they're more so assimilating to something that already exists. Like this is what it's like to be a woman.
Yeah.
You see that in the media. This is what it's like to be a man. This is what this looks like, and you kind of
That's what always confused me, because the LGBT community, they always say that gender is a construct and that there's multiple genders. But it seems to me like most trans people seem to try to just conform to what has already been
right.
They try to conform to the natural idea of two genders.
Right.
You know, when you become a man, they try to get more masculine.
Right.
They try to get buff. They start wearing tank tops.
Right.
You've seen like the lesbians in New York City that have with the cleanest lineups you've ever seen, like fresher than me. I'm on the subway, like what's her barber, bro?
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely the case. Like when it comes to being binary trans, I can't really speak too much on it in terms of like, because I've never experienced that, but I've definitely experienced gender dysphoria in a sense of like looking myself in the mirror and be like, it doesn't really match how I feel.
Have you always felt that way?
Yeah, definitely. Like I've always had dissociative issues since I was like a kid. I didn't even really know that was part of gender dysphoria until like a couple of years ago. Until I started realizing like the more feminine I looked, the more me I felt. But I definitely did not feel like a woman per se. Like I just felt like I just was who I was, just leaned more so on the expression of femininity. Like, and since I was younger, like people always felt that I was like more feminine. And it was funny because even like girlfriends I've had have said like, oh, like it's funny because people always say like someone might have like a gay vibe or someone has a gay aura, but no one has ever like felt like I was gay. They felt like I was like feminine.
Yeah.
You know, but most of the people
so that's where I was confused by it, because I've always mixed up gender and sexuality.
Right.
I just assumed that trans women were just extremely gay men.
Right.
But it doesn't really work on that. It's like a whole different scale.
Yeah, a lot of people really thought that. And to be honest, when I was younger, I thought that at maybe like a point when I was very, very young. But since there was so many trans women in my community growing up in Harlem, like I think probably around when I was like 8 or 9, I kind of just already intuitively understood like, no, they're women. Like it doesn't matter like what their physicality was. They're women. And I kind of just always understood that gender was a very social thing. Like going back to what you said about it being like a social construct, gender it's real in the sense that race is real. Like it's like real, but it kind of isn't. But that is because we live in a society, so things that are social constructs are real. That's what we live by.
So why do you think that you can change genders, but you can't change your race? Because I'm guessing you're not a fan of Rachel Dolezal. But I'm guessing, I don't need to really dig into your tweets and videos, but I doubt you accept her as a black woman, this Jewish woman who, you know, got a spray tan and curled her hair.
Just because it's race and gender are super different in the sense that one came before the other, like way before. Like gender has always been around.
But race is only like the idea of race is pretty new.
Right. Yeah. It's very new in comparison to gender. Like gender has always been fluid from society to society, and you could kind of see that with race somewhat. But since white supremacy has been so globalized, like blackness is pretty much like a concrete thing. Somewhat, except for people like you and I. Like the idea of like being of being transracial, it actually is a thing. Like, but it's not a thing for like actual white people like Rachel Dolezal. It's actually more of a thing for people like you and I that are ambiguous, where here you would probably be seen as one race, but if you went to China, you'd be seen as another. Whereas if you went to London, you'd probably be seen as another. Like, you know, blackness, like people might see me as black here. Whereas if I went to Dominican Republic, I would not be seen as black. I'd just be seen as a regular ass Dominican, like a multiracial person.
Yeah, but that's based on other people's perceptions of you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can change your gender and change your race and you feel a different certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like the idea of transracial is more up to society's idea, not yours. It's not really, it doesn't seem like an identity. You can't just declare I'm black now and then everybody just says yes, but you can say I'm a woman and everyone will mostly agree.
I mean, as far as with race, I think it's more so like if I say that I'm black, like people will believe me because I am black. But I have other identities too, like because I'm from the Caribbean, you know, being Afro-Indigenous, I can be simultaneously Taino indigenous and be black. And so I guess that's kind of like where that whole transracial idea comes from. But with gender, it's like it's dead performative. Like it's all performed. Like as far as your sex biologically, that's one spectrum. But then when you have gender, it's all psychosocial. Like before like white imperialism, you had multiple genders in indigenous societies. You had two-spirit genders. In India, you have third gender. So that is also up to kind of like how other people view you as well, which is why like being non-binary is like a very different struggle than being a trans woman per se, because when you're a trans woman or a trans man, you're kind of assimilating. You're kind of trying to be like incognito. Like you're trying to blend in with what society is telling you a woman is or what a man is. Like you kind of have that set in stone.
But if someone tries to blend in, when people try to blend into another race, they get exposed. That always gets exposed. Like you've seen those Koreans who are like napping up their hair. That people hate that
because you can't perform race, because race isn't performative. I feel like gender is something that is like definitely like it's really hard to say, because there's so many different spectrums. Like, and I can see why there's so much confusion, because there's gender and then there's gender expression, where it's
that's a different thing.
Yeah, it's definitely two different things, because you could be a woman but be a tomboy. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a tomboy, you're a woman, and usually a tomboy is like, from what I know, a lot of women that are tomboys no, they're not. Like a lot of times they be straight or bisexual, but that has nothing to do with your sexuality. Like a tomboy is just a girl that likes to dress somewhat masculine, and you have gay men where they will look very feminine. A lot of people think that they're a trans woman, but they're not. They're just very femme, and they identify as a man. They're a gay man, but they just are feminine. So your gender expression doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your gender, but there is like some overlap. You know, most people that are trans women will probably be leaning more on the femme side because they're trying to blend in with what a woman is supposed to look like, and that's based on what's already kind of like in society. But the issue is, from decade to decade, a woman and what we think a woman is supposed to look like changes, and the same thing for a man. Like, you know, like I had this discussion with my father where he's like, oh well, you know, they be guys out here trying to dress like women. And I asked him, I was like, okay, well, what does that look like to you? What does a man look like to you? Because he's Christian. I'm like, okay, so what does a man look like in the Bible? Did they wear the same shit that we wore today? No. So you can't really say, okay, God wants a man to look this certain way, because man has looked so many different ways and women has looked so many different ways. So gender is pretty much performative based on the society that you're in. It's really, it's very political. It's very psychological. It's very social.
I got to be honest. I was one of those people who thought that there's only two genders. I thought that people were just doing it to be attention seeking. Like I thought that the whole LGBTQ movement, the trans movement, this whole gender thing is just people with a lack of personality, and they look for an identity. So they latch themselves to this thing. They start putting their gender pronouns in their bio, like he slash him. Like, all right, we get it. And then I saw you, and I started to understand that like people do genuinely feel this way, that this is something, it's the same. I think it's the same way. It's different than sexuality, but you feel it in the same way as like you just inherently know whether you're gay, straight, or bisexual.
And it's not a choice, even though a lot of people
it's not a choice.
Right. Same thing like with being gay. A lot of people felt the same way about being gay, where it's like, oh, like, why do gay people feel the need to announce that they're gay all the time, this and that. But then ironically, people are always in my comments asking if I'm gay. In this video, people are probably going to ask if I'm gay in the comments. I'm just warning you. But yeah, like it's funny how like straight people will always be like, oh, why do gay people...
Well, do you consider yourself as like a straight person?
That's murky. I wouldn't consider myself straight just because I don't even fit the label. If I considered myself straight, it would imply that I have a gender for me to even be attracted to the opposite
straight sex. Yeah, I get it.
You know what I'm saying? So I just say that I'm attracted to women, period. I'm attracted to women, period, for now. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a very open-minded person, so I think men look kind of gross, but I mean, I don't know how I'm gonna feel in 10 years. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who the person that I'm gonna be. So, you know, I feel like we have this idea that we're the same person for the rest of our lives and the shit can never change. And it's not true. Like you could go through so many different things. If gender is an expression,
doesn't that kind of imply that it's a choice?
No, because like I said, it's gender expression and there's gender. I feel like gender is performative in the sense that it's social. It's social in the sense that it's kind of like race. Like it's social, so it does exist within society, but it's something that kind of we were assigned to. You get what I'm saying? But so people that are non-binary don't feel like either of those things. So when you don't feel like either of the assigned genders that are like part of the status quo, it's like you're kind of like left out. Like, okay, so what the fuck am I? I don't feel like a woman. I don't feel like a man. So I guess, you know, I'm non-binary. And then within non-binary identities, you have a lot of different things like bi-gender or agender or genderless or, you know, all of these different things. But those are kind of like the outliers of like the leftovers of where people just like, well, this is not me. Like, this is what society has collectively created.
Do you think that this can... The fact that you're saying that there's gender and gender expression, and we've established that sexuality is on a spectrum. Do you think that people are going to use this and it's going to become kind of ridiculous? The fear right now is that, you know, it used to just be LGBT. Now it's LGBTQ, QIA. And now it used to be like they, them. And now some people are going by like X, Z, Zer. Where do we draw the line, or how do we? Honest with you, I haven't met not one person. I haven't met not one person that goes by the Z-Zer thing. I've seen that online though. The XI. Yeah, I've heard it. Like the whole like otherkin thing. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not gonna hold otherkin. That kind of fell off. That was like
right. I'm just like, was that a meme? Like it feels. Was that like kind of like a dog whistle? It was like half meme. Like it feels like somebody like one of these racists on 4chan was just like, let's just make this shit up to like,
make them look really bad. They do that.
They do that all the time. And I feel like that's what's happening with Doja Cat right now. But that's a good conversation for another time. But
we could talk about that too.
Yeah, we could talk about that later on. But that situation's crazy too. There's a lot of confusion with the LGBT community. Not just because of, I personally believe, in my opinion, that I don't think the T should have even been added to LGBT because there's so much transphobia within the gay people as well, because it's different. You know what I'm saying? Like there's plenty of gay people that be like, oh, I'm a gay guy, but I'm not out here acting like I'm a woman. Like I got a dick at the end of the day. Like
most gay guys,
why are you trying to be somebody that you not? This is not like, it's a completely different thing. So I feel like it kind of, I can understand that there's a need for solidarity and queerness, like being queer gender and queer sexuality. But I kind of feel like it made things even more murky and kind of it might have shot it
slowed down the gays' path to equality.
Like
it held
them back
Dave
a little bit.
Yeah, like the Dave Chappelle. They got in the car. Yeah.
I'm dead. I wouldn't say that it slowed down because I understand like there's just certain things where solidarity was needed, like pride, you know, like the way pride started with trans people.
I'm not a huge fan of gay pride. Like it's I see them. First of all, take up all the streets, so traffic gets fucked. And then the next thing is you see like these giant dick balloons, and they're walking through, and
I've never been to Pride before.
They're in booty shorts, and it's like, man, kids are walking on the street, and they see like, mommy, what's? It's like a little fucking dick balloon. But if I take a piss behind a dumpster of a bar, that's public indecency. $100 fine. I could go to jail. Well, why do these people get to fly dick balloons down fucking Madison Avenue?
I mean, a dick is a dick. It's not a real dick. It's just a balloon.
So my real dick that's like away in a corner peeing behind a dumpster is public indecency?
I don't believe you should get arrested for that shit neither. Like most people that get arrested for that is, you know, is very racialized. But I think they stopped that. I think they actually made that they decriminalized that. I think you might just get a fine now or not at all.
You don't get a fine for flying a dick balloon though.
I mean, it's a balloon. You feel me?
Yeah, it's giant though.
I could put a pussy on my shirt right now and
you could, but like, do you want kids to see that?
I mean, that's up to parents to make sure that their kids not seeing that. I mean, what's so bad about seeing pussy and dick?
I mean, yeah, kids should be open.
They have
but
it.
There's like,
I feel like if you educate your kid and say this is now, if it's something with like, if there was like sex on my shirt or like it was a balloon of like somebody getting fucked in the ass, I was like, all right, you wildin'. Like,
why would you want to wear a giant pussy on your shirt though?
I don't know. Different strokes, different folks, different strokes.
Very different strokes. I mean, I see what you mean, but
let's revisit that whole LGBT thing though. Like, yeah, I don't think that the T should. I don't think that it should be part of it. Like even me myself, I wouldn't see myself as queer. I guess you could say like queer gender. You could say. I feel a sense of solidarity with queer people, whether it's through sexuality or gender. Like I'm definitely an ally of gay people, gay rights and stuff like that. But I myself don't feel like I'm part of that struggle of like gay rights. Like people have definitely called me the F word all the time, you know. But it's definitely more because of my gender expression than it is because of any type of sexuality that I have.
Well, so what hate do you get? I saw you did an Instagram live the other day.
Yeah.
It's the first time I saw you with lipstick on. You were talking about what happened exactly.
Literally nothing. Like I wasn't even talking about any type of gay shit
whatsoever. Just because you had lipstick on?
Because I had lipstick on. Like people was really uncomfortable because of the lipstick.
You're losing some fans because of that, right? Some people want like the older videos.
I wouldn't say I lost any fans. The reason why I kind of stepped away from doing pure comedy and not like political satire, like 'cause right now all of the comedy I use is just a vehicle for a message, but a lot of people stumbled upon my old videos, not just the Real Men Suck Dick, but the I Don't Give a Fuck video and just like old shit that I was doing back when I was like 15, 16.
Yeah,
like,
I see those pop up all the time.
Right, like even me saying like problematic shit, you know what I'm saying? And so people saw that and they like, oh, this guy's funny. I'm gonna go follow him, and then they follow me.
That's a whole bunch of different shit.
Right, they follow me for because they think I'm just gonna be funny, and then they see like, oh shit, this is actually a human being with emotions that's different from me. That's probably gonna be weirder than I thought they were gonna be. And then they saw the lipstick shit. And it was like, oh my god, this some gay nigga. And then they just unfollowed me. So I did lose like 300 followers, but it's because I gained like 10,000 followers over the course of like a month because of me blowing up on TikTok, shit like that.
So you don't think that this is hurting your career?
No, I don't think so. I mean, as far as a career, I've always wanted to have a quality fan base than just a pool of people that just laugh at what I have to say.
Yeah.
Right. I'd rather have people that will see me as a human being, to where if I say something or do something fucked up, which I probably will, I'm probably going to fuck up.
You said you did problematic shit in
right.
the past. What did you say exactly?
I had certain... I don't even remember, but I'm pretty sure I said a lot of shit I disagree with, to be honest. There was one video that I actually made private because it was part of the Real Men, and I was actually going to make a documentary series, not a series, but just a documentary on the whole realest nigga alive kind of series and like the effect it had like on the internet community, I guess. Because like almost all of them have went viral at some point. But there was one of them called Real Men Hit Women, and it's supposed to be a satire that makes fun of the kind of the mental gymnastics that men make for hitting women. But it kind of like backfired in a sense where men were like, oh, this is like real. Like, this is real shit. You know what I'm saying? And it just like, that kind of had the opposite effect of what I was trying to have.
They're like facts.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Like, with all of my satirical shit, there's always some people that don't get it. It goes over their head and they think I'm from real. Like, oh my God, this is offensive. Or there's some that actually believe it. So that's kind of like the collateral damage of it. Like, it's usually like a very small percentage. But with that video in particular, there was a lot of people, and I was just like getting the kind of fans that I didn't want. Like, misogynistic assholes that really think it's like some fire shit to be hitting women, and it's not fire at all, I promise you. But so, and I was just like, I've never put a video on private before. I think this is probably the time where I should be looking at my content. And it's like,
well, that's not because you said anything problematic, it's because people misinterpreted your message.
Right. And also because for example, like, I think I saw a video of I saw that video of yours where you like had the conversation with your past self, and you leave all of your old videos. I like to leave all my old videos.
I like to leave all the old stuff too. Yeah.
Right. So people could see my growth. Like, yeah, that's who I was when I was 16, 17.
That's something we have in common. And I do agree. Like, our fan base does seem kind of close knit. Like, when I see these people in public, it's like they already know me.
People be like, "Yo, what's good?"
Yeah. Like how you been with? How did that thing go? Like, how did you? They know what's already happening in my life. It's just like in a way, it sounds corny, but like friends you haven't met.
Right.
That's the only way I could explain it and not sound like, but you know, it is what it is.
But yeah, I definitely had that video where I was just like, you know, I try to leave all my old videos up, but then I definitely started looking, after I saw that video and I realized like what was going on, I kind of looked at my old videos too, and I still like haven't gotten to it, but I do want to look at other of my old videos where I'm just like, okay, is this video going to be seen as, because remember, like, not everyone is a fan looking at your old content and saying like, oh yeah, this is who they used to be. It's kind of like, you get immortalized by the internet in a sense. Like, who you were in that moment gets immortalized.
That's what I like about it. Like, it paints, a lot of my stuff is flawed. I'm just like an angry kid playing Call of Duty, yelling at my screen.
And so people think that that's you, like, forever. And then somebody's looking at 15-year-old me, and then they look at 23-year-old me, and they're
see
like,
the growth.
Dude, what happened? Like, so people ask me, dude, what happened? Because they see some lipstick. I'm like, I don't know, I wear lipstick. Like, what the fuck?
You grew. You grew.
People like, oh my God, you changed. I'm like, well, shit, I would hope so. I'm 23. I'm not fucking 15.
I met up with a friend, one of my friends from college. He lives in the Lower East Side. I hadn't seen him in a long time. And he's one of the people who watches you. And he said that he saw that Instagram Live. I was like, what is that sus shit? Like, what is he doing? I used to fuck with his videos. Like, he used to be a fan of the New York stuff. Right. And now he's just like, he's off. So that's why I think that's why I asked the question if you think that it's hurting your career. Because I think back in the day, it seemed to attract, like, you spoke to people in New York City or maybe in hoods across America, and was talking about things like eloquently in a way that people didn't really expect from someone from the hood. And being really comfortable with your gender expression kind of takes away from that hood identity in a way. Do you think that I don't know how to phrase this, but do you think that your gender expression has revoked your hood pass?
That's hilarious. My hood pass? Nah, I definitely don't think so. Because I think most people in the hood are very accepting. I think that it's a minority of people that are extremely like bigoted in that way. Cause I mean, we from the hood, like everybody struggles so much. Everybody goes through all of these different things. So it's kind of like, who the hell are we to judge somebody else? You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody else that's willing to judge somebody else because of how they identify, like you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't commit a crime by being who I am. A hater. You get what I'm saying? Like, at that point, am I really losing something if someone is showing their true colors by being like, ew, this guy looks gay, I'm gonna unfollow? Like, I don't feel like I'm really losing anything. There's people that have been fans that kind of were like off put because they weren't used to it, and that's just a natural thing when you see a change. Like, a lot of times, like, a lot of people think like, you know, oh, everyone's just a hater and they just don't want to see me shine. But like, no, I understand that people grew up with me in a certain way. Like, a lot of these people were people that I've been on YouTube for
long time,
12 years.
12 years.
12 years. I've been on YouTube since I was 11. I'm 23. So a lot of people been with me through them 11 years, you know what I'm saying? And not all of those people are going to be
crazy to think about. That's
not all those people are going to be conscious in every way. Like, everybody's not going to be woke in terms of race and gender and capitalism and this and that. Like, I can't expect everybody to agree with me, you know what I'm saying? Or to be on the same page as me as to what consciousness looks like.
But you like that they're fans because they fuck with your energy, with what you do.
Exactly.
And they're supporters of you as a person. People say that about me all the time.
YouTube is about a personality, like, or at least it used to be. I feel like
it's changing now.
I like your channel a lot for the simple fact. Like I was even talking to my girl about this the other day. I was like, SNEAKO was one of the last niggas that's really like a personality channel. Like he could do whatever he wants on his channel,
like it,
and people gonna like it.
That's the only way I felt like I could do it. I know it's gonna take longer to get to where I want to be in terms of success, but I'm gonna be happier because I didn't feel like I sold out. You guys, for example, like I compare myself to Mr. Beast all the time because I worked with him and like he used to be a fan, and then seeing him get to 32 million, but now it's like he seems kind of stuck to what he can do. He has to give away money in every video.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to feel like
stuck doing the same.
I don't want to feel caught in a trap. Like people expect this type of content. So it's really refreshing to see you grow and change. And like I see you with lipstick on it, it feels like that's you. Like this is your comfortable state. And I hope that like when people start YouTube, they make it about themselves and about their personality. Which is what was great about it back in the day. Right. That no matter what you're doing, we're supporting this person. Right. But now it's become more corporate, unfortunately.
And we're back.
Yeah, it just seems that YouTube has become more corporate. Like Jimmy Fallon and all the late night shows, they just do the live show to post the clips on YouTube. Right. Comedy sketches, they just make sketches to upload them to YouTube. So you know, T-Series past PewDiePie. It's no longer that user-friendly site that it used to be.
Yeah, for a fact. And it's like even the personality channels, like the prank channels or the slime videos or the ASMRs, like they start just doing that one thing. Like, or even when you vlog and you try to make it about yourself, it's like people like, damn, all of these comments are really liking this kind of video, what I did in this video. So now I got to do it for the next video and the next video.
Well, that's only if people want to go viral every time. Like when I got my first viral video, everyone was telling me just keep making that. Like
it's like, no, I'm not trying to do that.
This is not me. This was the one. I don't want to become a gimmick.
In that video that you're talking about where I wore lipstick, I was literally like, I got on there. My point of getting on there was to talk about why there were no videos and why I hadn't uploaded videos. And I was talking about like how, you know, like the pressure of making consistent videos was taking a toll on my mental health, trying to, you know, be the same 18-year-old me making 2-3 videos a week when I had the time, when I didn't have financial responsibility, when, you know, I didn't have all of the adult things that I'm worrying about today. And I'm just like, you know, like, no, I'm not going to keep making the same type of videos. I'm not going to keep trying to be consistent.
Do you ever miss that headspace? Do you miss being able to make 2-3 videos a week?
I do kind of,
miss that all the time.
I enjoy how introspective and how analytical I am now and how calculated I am now. Like I feel like I'm in a space where everything I do is very intentional. And I think back then things were intentional, yes, but it definitely was like the moments that I created on YouTube. I don't even remember a lot of those videos. You get what I'm saying? I feel like every video I make now, like I'm remembering like, yeah, that was a good ass video. Like every time I drop a video, my boy will hit me like, yo, that was a good ass video. Like it don't even feel like it took you this X amount of months to drop a video just because of like how good this video was. If it looked like you felt good about that video, it looked like you felt passionate about it. And with me, YouTube was something that I did to kind of like cope with my mental illness. So I'm not about to let it be something that like is the cause of mental illness and make that shit depress me.
What's your mental illness?
I mean, I could say a lot of different things. I mean, depression, anxiety, dissociation, things that I haven't even like gotten therapy for to really like sit here and like self-diagnose myself with. But you know, you could kind of like pretty much.
Do you think we all kind of suffer from these things?
I definitely, not all.
No?
That would be, I think a lot of people do feel sad sometimes, but I feel like depression is like one of those things where like even when you're happy, you know that like it's like kind of there. You know what I'm saying? Like you know that it's like a cloud. Moment. Like you experience joy, but like the joy is the mood, but the depression is like something that's kind of like wired in there. We're just like kind of dreading like, damn, when is this good mood gonna be over next? What's the next thing I'm about to be anxious about? Yeah. You know, so but definitely like, you know, with YouTube, it's never been something that has made me that has exacerbated my mental illness, but I could definitely say that I saw when it was about to, and I was just like, yeah, I need to cool off with the videos and cool off with all of this stuff, because at the end of the day, like, this is something that I want to do. Like, yes, it is for the fans too, and the fans is in it with me, but it was something that I decided to do, and it's my responsibility. Shit, if I go too crazy, like I'm at the right level of crazy where I'm entertaining, but if I go too crazy, then you know what I'm saying?
Then you stop being relatable.
Exactly.
You don't seem to be too attached to the idea of success and in terms of numbers.
Right.
Like considering that you've been doing this since you were 11. That surprises me, because what separates like me and my girlfriend who's who's thinking about becoming an influencer for her job is that she remembers what it was like to not grow up or to not always be online. And so I've always been, thinking about numbers. Yeah. I've always been, since I was I made my first YouTube video, I was like 11, 12. SNEAKO, that channel's been up since I was 14. So so much of like my dopamine hit is attached to how many views a video is getting, to how many subscribers I'm getting, how much money it is. Right. Like it's like how fast is it growing? Am I hitting the algorithm? It's ingrained, and like I honestly feel like part of my brain is attached to this algorithm.
You're addicted to it.
I've been addicted to it. I don't think I'm ever gonna get over it, because when I was a kid I thought like 100K I'd be happy. Right. But now I want 1 million. When I want 1 million, I know that's not gonna make it.
It's never gonna make you happy.
I'll get drunk for one night, throw a party, whatever, and then I'm gonna want 10 million. But you seem to be.
Before it was money doesn't buy happiness. Now it's followers don't buy happiness. I mean, followers don't buy shit technically unless you're getting sponsorships and whatnot. It depends how you got those followers, but
in a lot of ways, like having followers can be more valuable than money now.
Yes,
because it can give you longevity. Having fans is I think is almost measurable it's almost like a currency. Yeah. But you seem to be fully focused on the artistic value of YouTube and using your videos as a way of self-expression. Right. I wish I could be like that, but like I'm trying to get paid. Like I'm trying to get. I want to get rich from this shit. Do you feel that
you got to tap into that Eastern religion? Man,
yeah, you got to tap into that. I tried all that, but my attention span's ass. I know. I'm fully aware of how unhealthy it is. I'm fully aware.
Yeah. I think. When did you start being on the internet? Like what age?
Oh man, it's my whole life.
What like I think 8, 9, 10? I
started playing Club Penguin when I was like 6 or 7.
Oh, okay. So that was pretty. I mean, yeah, I was on the internet at a very young age too, but I guess I grew up in a time where the internet was more of a luxury than a necessity that it is today. So like I was on dial-up, but I was on Gaia Online when I was maybe like 10 years old was when I first like made like a kind of social account of any sort. I used to play Flash games before that, but Gaia Online was a lot like being on those forums and being in that community was definitely about connection, and people would like make art there and share it in forums. There was a lot of artistry on there, and it was definitely not about numbers. It was all about the comments and making an engaging forum where people could join your forum and would have something of substance to say about your art, or about any ideas. Like people would role play there. People would like make short stories and people would come and comment on it. Me, I've always been about the comments. Like that's one of the reasons why I kind of had to stop doing just pure comedy, like just like BS comedy, and it had to have a message.
You could do stand-up though, for real.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Because I used to go to the comments and I used to see laugh my ass off. This nigga funny. Ha ha ha. Yo, this shit got me weak. Like I want real, like not just people come to my page and just laugh and think I'm a clown, but I want people to come to my page and be like, okay, I learned something. With what you're saying. Right. I learned something. Well, I relate to this person. Like I feel attached to what this person's actually saying. Like
so you care more about what people say than the numbers.
About this shit. You know what I'm saying?
You care more about the response.
Like as corny as it sounds, like I really do care mostly about the connection and not just how my fans connect to my stuff, but also how I connect to what I'm saying. Like how I feel about my relationships to people. Like I am very attached to my work on a sentimental level. You know, like a lot of people are very alienated from their work. Read the Communist Manifesto. But a lot of people are very alienated from their work, and even artists are very alienated from their work because it starts off as this, oh, I want to be the greatest artist of all time.
And they do it for their job.
You know, and then when you kind of monetize it, you lose sight of why you started it in the first place, and then it just becomes a job about the next video.
Yeah, but having financial freedom lets you create.
Lets you do that.
Yeah,
I definitely understand that.
Yeah, I've gone to a level where I don't have to be in college. I'm financially stable enough. I could travel, but
I understand it. But then it's like, at what cost? So it's a very like weird.
You see the distraction of your mental health. You see the addiction,
right?
But you don't see like people on Instagram, like these YouTubers flexing with their mansions and their Lamborghinis. Like, yeah, I'm not a materialistic guy.
That should be rented half the time. It'd be leased, so I don't even be. A lot of that's a facade. I'm gonna tell you.
But a lot of these YouTubers, like, come on, like guys like
they
Logan
do get
Paul,
money. I'm not gonna hold you.
They get
yeah,
bread,
they get bread,
bro. They get.
But a lot of those people already got bread, though. A lot of them didn't grow up like you and I.
Mr. Beast, like I swear to God, he did not.
He came from the mud.
He didn't come from
He
the
came from
mud.
the gutter.
But he didn't have like, bro. His mom didn't. He got to 100,000 subs with his iPhone.
Okay.
He all the money he made on his channel was reinvested. It was all YouTube ad revenue. I swear to God, the guy is more self-made than people give him credit for.
I mean, I gotta look into him. I think I've seen. His
videos are for kids. Right? I mean, they're for.
I've seen a couple videos where he like gives out stuff and whatnot. So
yeah, I don't like the videos, to be honest. But I like the guy, but I don't. I mean, the videos aren't for me. I've seen him give away money. It's like, how many times I need to watch that? But he bought a house for his mom in Costa Rica. Dude's 22.
Right.
Multi-millionaire. He's like buddy with Elon Musk. Like, I see the level that YouTubers can get to, and I think about that concept. Like, yes, I want to stay true to the artistic freedom, and I want to make videos that mean something to me and to the viewers. But I want to drive a Lamborghini. You feel me?
Because you're getting distracted by, oh my God, here's this 22-year-old. I'm about to be 22. I need to be there.
Yeah, I think about my age way more than I should.
And I be saying that to my friend all the time. Like, I'm like, nigga, you're not ready for fame. Like, you looking at all of these young artists that's blowing up 18, 19. But a lot of times, like, yeah, that's their moment of happiness. But they have to go through their own self-realization as well. There's going to come a time where all of these rich folks, they're going to look at all this and going to be like, damn, but what does all this mean? Like, what does my life mean? Who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Like, being 22, if he hasn't already, he will have his existential crisis. It don't matter how much bread he has.
I'd rather have an existential crisis in
I get you, though.
in a
Money
mansion than a studio apartment, though.
Money,
you feel me?
Money buys comfort. I hate when people say money don't buy happiness.
Yeah,
it doesn't buy happiness, but it buys comfort. And from that comfort, you can build happiness. But you at a point where, like you said, you comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
But the thing is, like, I'm starting to feel too comfortable.
Right.
Like, I got money coming in. I'm looking okay. Like, I can probably eat for another 6 months to a year and, like, okay.
Right.
So I don't feel the pressure to make videos. It's like the past couple of days, especially the quarantine, I've been laying around, bro. I've been, like, lazy. Playing Fortnite for 7 hours, waking up at weird times.
Yo, that'd be me too. I was sleeping from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. for like...
And that was right when winter ended, so I was just getting out of the seasonal depression craze. I was feeling a little better. I was getting more inspired. I started doing this 1-minute podcast thing. I was talking to people on the train.
Right.
It was feeling good. And then, the quarantine, it really just... It made me... Because my biggest enemy is comfort. It is laziness. Is like... Because I can turn my brain off by just... focusing on a video game for hours and hours or just scrolling on my phone. I can numb my brain.
Yo, me too.
I can numb it. I could turn it because my brain is constantly going nonstop, just won't shut the fuck up. So when I find something that lets me just breathe, a couple drinks or maybe a blunt, a video game and just something or
You'll
like
stay there.
porn, I could just coast and then ignore everything. And then
I still got 30 tabs open right now that I haven't watched. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to leave this shit for later because I'm not about to be here for hour number 5, man, because you could really be, listen, your phone, like I've tried to be off my phone. Like, listen, I've had various partners of mine tell me that my phone is a problem. Like, I'm addicted to my phone.
I read most of my comments too.
I read in the comments for days, arguing with people on Twitter. Like, even after you won the debate, you just want to sit there and just like, all right, what you about to say next?
Yeah, like, it's a dopamine hit. Like those Twitter arguments will have you in a hole. You'll be mad as shit at who the fuck is this person?
Nobody.
Who is this? They have a fucking anime profile picture. This is not even, there's probably a Russian bot and I've spent 8 hours talking to them.
Oh man. Or those white people that be making fake black accounts.
As a black man, Trump is a guy.
I think Trump's a great guy. I swear, any black Trump supporter, they're a hologram. They're not.
But you saw Joe Biden. Joe Biden said if you saw that, right? He said if you don't, if you have to wonder if you want to vote for me or Trump, you ain't black. How does that make you feel?
That shit was hilarious. Did you see that Trump posted it?
Yeah, he's still selling T-shirts like hashtag you ain't black. That's smart, man. Like, bro, he's like 6'9". He's the 6'9" of politics. He just figured out trolling it.
I don't know what's going on in America, but I'm not going to live here for very long. I promise you. Whether Biden or Trump is in office, I don't know who I'm more scared of. I feel like Biden. At least Trump know what he's doing. Like the ill that he's causing is like that it's intentional. You know what I'm saying? But like
Biden just seems like a guy with dementia. Like he's just
he has to have dementia. He has to.
The way he talks and just forgets what he's saying.
And he was not talking like that. Just like when Obama's.
I remember him being articulate. I remember doing the debates with Paul Ryan during.
Exactly. So it's like how did he get there? Like clearly it's his age.
He's not right in the head. He's just like an old angry grandpa.
Yeah, it's really wild. Like the shit he said. Like I thought it was a meme. Like I thought someone voiced it over. Like he didn't actually say you ain't black. And I'm just looking. I'm just like looking at sources. I'm like me and my skeptical ass. I'm like, bro, there's no way. This is absurd. Like come on. Even white people ain't doing
would
it.
know not to say that. Yeah. But I mean, do you feel pressure to vote always Democrat because You're a person of color.
I don't vote.
You don't vote.
I don't vote. I don't. I'm very communistic. I don't I don't even believe like whoever they that's selected. That's not even.
You think Trump was selected by who?
I don't know, boss. I think he was selected.
I used to think that, but I'm like, there's no way they selected this dude. He's the last person that who would be in charge, like the Rothschild family, like these rich families who probably have secret meetings and stuff who do have secret meetings. Yeah, whatever the Illuminati is.
It's really hard to say, but America is way more aristocratic than people know. A lot of people think that we have a lot more of a choice than we actually do. I mean, that's already seen in the whole electoral college thing too. So even with just that, I could dive way deeper into it. But it would get pretty boring pretty fast. I'm not gonna hold you. But yeah, just look at
unless
the
you convince me. I mean, I haven't spoken to a self-proclaimed communist since college.
Since college?
Since you get those girls.
Maybe next time we get into that.
Right.
I'm pretty good at radicalizing people. I'm not gonna hold you. But yeah, I've definitely made a couple Trump supporters not be Trump supporters. But yeah, people probably watching this like this nigga Almonte is a CIA agent trying to provoke
I'm willing to hear.
I don't get bombing some shit.
I don't get persuaded that easily, but
yeah, I could tell you're definitely very skeptical, but it's good to be that way because evidence is everything. You know, like even what's happening with the Doja Cat situation, it's like there was just a lot of things that people were just saying, like just hearsay, like just a lot of crazy rumors. Like it'll always happen that way.
I'm not mad at her. Like I don't really care.
People have done worse, so it's really hard for me to be mad at her. Like people have done worse and still get support. So I feel like
what, for example, R. Kelly?
Yeah, R. Kelly.
But no, he's like, I think people always get canceled. I've been canceled.
Ian Connor,
was he canceled? I think R. Kelly has successfully been canceled. He's one person like, all right,
because he went to jail.
Yeah.
If he didn't go to jail. And he came out with
shit?
Another hit. I promise you, people they'd still be on his shit. They still would. There's people that's still on his shit today.
Fly still goes
the
hard,
only
though.
reason why R. Kelly isn't really canceled is because, the only reason why he is canceled is because he's like he's the dude from back in the day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like a lot of Gen Z and like younger millennials never really rocked with him like that anyway too much.
But everyone grew up on the playground with "I Believe I Could Fly."
Yeah, I guess so. I always thought that was corny, but that's just me.
Everyone heard that.
Yeah, the chicken wing. Yeah. You know, it's funny. For a while, I didn't know that he's the one that made that song.
Neither did I. Only found that out like embarrassingly late. I don't want to say.
Yeah, I'd say like probably like last year. I thought that was just like a graduation song. Like it was like literally. Just made like it was like some stock graduation music. Like you look up stock graduation music and "I Believe I Could Fly" pops up. Like it's not even like nobody even owns the copyright of this shit. It's just like
public domain for kids
for graduation. Like fucking what's that other like the Star Spangled Banner or some shit. But yeah, like with Doja Cat and just in general, like not even to make it just about her. Like what I was saying about R. Kelly, like. He was like from the old generation, and I made a video on R. Kelly on how like it's very easy to cancel R. Kelly because like nobody was really rocking with him like that anyway. But what about other people that do people do other predatory stuff or talk about doing predatory stuff like Cardi B talking about drugging niggas and getting the trans women to rape
I forgot about that too.
And you know everyone forgets like it's easy like everybody always loves to cancel like these old head like celebrities, but nobody wants to cancel like the new ones, like the dudes that's on top. Like Drake does anything, like Drake could shoot somebody, like, and they'll be like,
yeah, he's done some sus shit. He was texting like 13-year-old girls. You heard about it. He was texting.
Yeah, I seen all that. I mentioned that in the video too, like that.
But no, he seems to be okay. I think you have a point.
People talk about it for like 2 days, but then again, with this Doja Cat shit, people won't care in a couple days. I said 2 weeks.
They already forgot. There was already hashtag "We Are Sorry Doja."
I mean,
trending.
come on, the Lana Del Rey shit was happening, and the Biden thing was happening. It was like this
Lana
is so
Del Rey,
much.
I don't think she said anything wrong. I think she had a point, and it was like Black Twitter got mad at her, but. She was mentioning Camila Cabello and Ariana Grande. She's talking about the #1 pop singers.
Right.
And Ariana Grande, first of all, she's a disguise. She's not, bro. You've seen what she looks like in Victorious and Nickelodeon. She's completely pale, and now she's all brown.
Definitely transracial on some transracial shit right now.
But she got away with it. Yeah, she got
because she don't say it. Because she don't say it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like she just kind of like, it's kind of like Russ. Like a lot of people would think like Russ is like Puerto Rican or some shit. He's dead. Nah, he's a whole white guy. He's
really?
Sicilian.
Russ?
Yes.
You learn something new.
Man, but yeah, supposed to be saying, yeah, with there's so many I feel like celebrities, when it comes to cancel culture, like they'll do one thing, right? And they did it, right? And we're supposed to be criticizing them for that. But then everyone just starts coming out with all these different crazy rumors that's like not even true. Like there's no evidence. People just start saying it. Like Doja Cat was shitting on dildos in front of like these white supremacists, and they were calling her the N-word, and that she was over here fingering herself on these tiny chats. And I'm just like, bro, do y'all have evidence? All y'all have was literally just a video of her just chilling with these guys.
So
like,
why did I hear everyone saying that she was saying like letting people call her the N-word? I didn't see any videos.
Yeah, there was none of that. There's a video of her calling a white guy the N-word. She's like, suck my dick.
Oh.
And then that's what happened. People were like, oh, she's anti-black because of that. I'm like, since when was it anti-black to call a white person the N-word?
Nah, that's just funny. That's just funny.
I'm like, I think that should happen more often, to be honest. Like, I mean, white people was projecting the whole time. Like, they was calling us that, but they know that it was them, really. But
I'm trying to work on this video about, I think everybody is a little bit racist. I think everybody has racism ingrained in them. Because inherently we don't like people that look different from us. It's just that simple.
Right. It's tribalism.
Explain it. What do you mean?
It's tribalism. Like, I mean, even in Africa and indigenous societies, like everyone had like their clique. Like, you know, a lot of it was bloodline. A lot of it was,
you stick to what you know.
Right. A lot of like there was clans in East Asia. You know, all of that shit was like.
So people say
there was always exclusion. There was always that. I think that racism is definitely a force. Like, people, I think because of capitalism, people always see, you know, the whole individual idea of, no, I'm not racist. Like a white person always like, I'm not racist. I've never done anything racist. But I think that we all are
capable of it.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's just, it's a force. Like everything is racialized. Like when people be like, oh, it's not about race. Everything is about race. Like when people are like, oh, not everything's about race. Everything's about race. Like you literally cannot just remove that from your mind. You can't just take away that somebody's
people say
black.
That they can't see race or they're bullshitting.
Right.
It's
impossible. Literally everything is racist. Everything is sexist because we live in a society where that's the dominant force. So just how we navigate every day.
And actively participating
like
is...
Right. Everything is very gendered. Everything is very race oriented.
I didn't know how to put that into words.
Subconscious. In your subconscious, you're just navigating in a way in a race-based society. The fact that I could walk outside and be scared in a black neighborhood, that's racialized. I'm scared because it's the hood. It's the hood because of ghettos being created, like redlining, ghettos being created. And all of those were institutions that were put into place. As long as we live in a racist system, we're all affected.
Participants.
Right. We're all participants of racism. And, you know, there's going to be some that are more victimized than others. Obviously, like white people aren't going to be victimized by racism the way black people are. But we're all participants in it. Like, that's why there's internalized racism. That's why there's terms like internalized misogyny. Because it's like, oh, well, I'm a woman. I can't be this. But it's like, yeah, but you can internalize that and then kind of weaponize that against another woman. You know?
Well, going past just being participants, do you have racist thoughts?
Racist thoughts?
Like, I would take... I've been following you for a while now. I would take, like, for a pretty good guess, you don't like white people.
I wouldn't say that's racist.
You probably... You don't think that's racist?
I don't think that's racist. I mean, white people as a whole, like... I'll say fuck white people as a whole, right? But if I meet an actual white person,
you won't have the
like
same energy.
I actually see them as a person. Like I see them like, oh, like this is a person. I'm gonna see how they are, but I still keep in mind like this person is white, so they might not understand a lot of certain things. Like they might say some foul ass shit. They might say something dumb. They might say something racially insensitive, or they might be on the other side of the spectrum where they're like pandering to, like, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's kind of like
my man.
It's like the Democrats and the Republicans. It's like, okay, so either this person about to be dumb racist, or they gonna try to like pander or be like too skittish around me. Like, damn, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Like, just be you, bro. Like, I've met so many white people that always like.
I get along more with white people who have kind of accepted their racism a little bit. Like people who they seem to, they're racist in the same way that I'm racist. You know, I'm very open about it.
Right.
Like I will just say, I'll make jokes and crack jokes about every single race because I am like pretty much every single race. But most white people, that bothers me so much. And what I hate more than actual racist white people is them holding it back and suppressing it and just like letting it build
but you
up.
say jokes. jokes. It's like you say
but
jokes.
every joke is based in truth.
Somewhat, you can kinda say
poke
that.
fun at, you can even poke fun at yourself when you say these things. You're poking fun at your thoughts. I get racist thoughts all the time. I don't act on them. I don't really inherently believe them.
But you see how you joke about it. I feel like that's you like kind of pointing out the absurdity in the thought. Like it's just like that's you know that it's racist.
Yeah.
But I feel like some people are dead ass racist and they don't know. Like they think that's just normal. Like, oh, this person's
But
black.
I think
so they're
it's
gonna do
based in
this.
the same feeling. It's based in the same feeling of being afraid of something different, or just being, or not understanding something different. So you say something racist, but unless you have self-awareness, you won't be able to make it a joke, or to poke fun at yourself and to poke fun at that flaw.
Right. I think we're also socialized by that as well. Like it's not just about being afraid just because people are different. Like that's kind of like the inherent thing. Like, I mean, of course, I'm pretty sure like when indigenous people saw that white guy coming on a boat and they just shot arrows at him, they were just like, who the fuck is this white guy? Like, we ain't about to go through this shit again. Like, not again. So but
that's a perfect example of why there's so of casual racism that you see in New York City. It's based on experiences. So I've seen like people will call it racist if a white guy is afraid of someone, or like when they drive past a black person, they lock their car doors. But that guy probably got robbed by a black guy before. This is something that he's seen. It's the same thing you see like with Muslim cashiers. Like when they see black people walk in, they'll grab the bat, or like waiters. Most waiters know that like black people don't tip. But if you say that, that's right. But this is based on past experiences, and you do that with every race, no matter.
There's definitely like there's certain traumas and there's certain defense mechanisms you have. Like for example, I got robbed by a guy that was dark skinned. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I feel like every day that I'm walking in the hood, especially like around the area that I got robbed, I'm always just waiting to see this nigga one more, to see like how I'd react. Like, would I fuck dude up or what would happen? So sometimes like I'll see somebody, I'm like, is that him? Is that him? So it's like that in itself is motivated by race, but that's like kind of like a past trauma because it happened to me. But I feel like there's people that dead ass never had anything happen to them, but it's socialized.
But there's past trauma within the races. Like white people as a whole don't want their daughters to fuck black men. Right. That's the trauma that white people all have based on segregation and thinking that black men are savages and all this internalized stuff. So that past trauma, even though you might not have experienced something personally, it can exist within a whole race.
I wouldn't call that trauma. I think that's a reach.
Yeah, trauma is not the right word.
I would say it's kind of like a generational passing down of just preconceived ideas of like what black men are. I mean, because before black people did anything to white people, they always just didn't want their daughters to fuck black men. And like when it did happen, they would just call them rapists. Like they didn't actually believe that a consensual relationship could happen between a black person and a white person. They would just say that the black person was the rapist. So and that gets passed down generation to generation to generation.
But that idea is still here, and I think it's based in the fact that white men were kind of civilized and normal, but black men were, because they were slaves and they were lower class, they were more animalistic, which is attractive to women. And so white men have always felt like they can't.
I don't think that was attractive. I don't think that was attractive to women. I think what was attractive to white women was the fact that they saw someone that. And it's a power dynamic. They saw someone that they could take advantage of, because no one ever talks about that. People always talk about how white men raped slaves. No one talks about how the wives was also raping the slaves too. Really? Yeah, and getting pregnant by these niggas all the time.
So you think that's the white women fetish with black men?
Yes.
I think it's the forbidden. I think it's because it's
both.
Wrong.
It's both. It's both. But it's definitely the power dynamic at play. Like it's. Which is why, like, I even look at interracial relationships sometimes. It's kind of like, damn, like, like when a white woman, like, I would date a white woman. Has it happened? No, not really. No, it hasn't. It happened for maybe 2 months. I'm trying to think, because I'm like, I talked to a white girl before. It's like that murky Gen Z millennial. What the fuck does talking mean?
But if fuck white people is ingrained in you, you probably can't have a long-term relationship with a white woman.
That's not true. It depends on how they are. Like, I feel like individually, a white person could be very conscious, could be very class conscious, could be very race conscious.
So you hate what they are, but you don't hate them.
Yes, it's like,
so how could you be married to that person?
I see whiteness as I wouldn't marry that person. I mean, I don't believe in marriage. But
neither do I.
I'm very polyamorous, so I feel like if I was monogamous, the one person that I would be married to definitely wouldn't be a white person, but maybe it's because I'm polyamorous that it's like, well, that's not the only person I'm gonna be fucking with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, so I definitely see where you're coming from. But whiteness to me, I see it as, will whiteness exist forever? I don't think so. I don't think whiteness will always exist. Like,
but for the foreseeable future,
right?
And I think these racial dynamics that exist because of segregation, they're still going to be around for a long time. Like,
oh yeah, I agree.
Cuckold porn, I love that example. It's always the same racial dynamic. It's a white family, and then a black dude steps in and fucks the white wife while the dude watches, and I don't see that going away ever. It seems like the fact that racial relationships in this country are so visible in porn and in sex shows that, like, I don't think racism is ever going to go away. It's kind of like
it's kind of like that dirty side of your mind. It's like the dark side of people's minds.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of race play. There's a lot of race play on shit like Pornhub and stuff like that. And like,
it's like the #1 category.
It's a really double-edged sword to be sex positive, like, because people have this stigma of sex, and I want people to be very open about their sexual ideas and their fantasies and shit like that, like, you know, the liberation of sex workers and whatnot. But then it's like, we can't talk about that without talking about the shit like you talking about, like the race play and like where some sexual promiscuity comes from. Promiscuity is dead. It's a telltale sign of sexual abuse, in particular childhood sexual abuse, or trauma, shit like that. Like the fact that people do have these rape fetishes, that people have these race fetishes with like, you know, you go and see in BBC, like shit like that. It's like treating black men as very animalistic. And it's so wild that it's that black people are seen as a fetish. You know, like I be getting uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've had to just stop mid porn session, like, because I'll stumble upon some white man safari fucks ghetto negress in South Africa. I'm like, this is not even like, yeah, this is my boner killer, like boner killer. I'm just like, people that watch this, like, they gotta be sadistic, but it's like almost thinking it's like people
now
like, oh, don't
dick and you're mad. You want to?
Yeah, I'm tight. Like now I got an angry boner. Like at that point, like, oh, here we go again.
Polyamorous is not sticking to one partner. Is open relationships, right?
Different people do it different ways. Some people are in triads or quads. Some people are in closed polyamorous relationships. Poly just means more than one. I personally believe that polyamory should be completely open.
I've been thinking this for a while. I don't think that people are naturally monogamous. I think it's something that we force ourselves to do because we get lonely, because we want to, we romanticize the idea of a person. We're really jealous. The human species is a really jealous
very
creature.
Territorial. It's in our nature.
So we force ourselves to stick to this rule that's unnatural. Like if you look at monkeys and bonobos, they fuck everything. No one's getting married in the jungle. They just fucking. It's something that we force ourselves to do, but I don't know how to tell my girlfriends this so I can be polyamorous. I don't know how to bring this shit up in a way, because I don't think that like. Oh man, I really hope
it's a spectrum. It's a spectrum for sure, because there's monogamy and then there's non-monogamy and then there's polyamory. Like non-monogamy, I feel like there's some people, like a minority of people are monogamous, a minority of people are polyamorous, but the majority of people are non-monogamous. Like as in people that swing or people that are in open marriages. Like, yeah, I think that humans naturally, most people will stick to one person. Like they want to spend the rest of their life with one person, or a majority of their lives when they get married. But
everyone has thoughts of cheating.
Right,
Everybody
you know what I'm saying? They're
cheating.
attracted to other people. They still have sexual desires for other people. And I think that most people feel that. I think there's a very small minority of monogamous people that don't feel that. I have met some. It's a very small minority. I've met some that are monogamous and they don't see nobody. But like you said,
you can't make that commitment for life. Like the idea of signing a contract of marriage,
like,
saying,
well, I don't know. Right. They're like, I've never been attracted to nobody else. It's like, all right,
bullshit,
but that's for now. I mean, that's for now. And you got to think about it almost like institutionally too. Like kind of like when you're in a monogamous relationship, there's all these like rules and like expectations that kind of stop you from being attracted to other people. Like, oh, I'm not going to go to a bar. I'm not going to go to a club. I'm not going to talk to this person for too long. I'm not going to text this person for too long. Like a friend is somebody that I see every once in a while.
Well, that's why marriage is a suppressant of your identity. You kind of have to take away some of what makes you a man or what makes you a woman, or
whatever you are.
Yeah, whatever you are. You have to take away some of that so that you become more appealing to your partner. so much of what makes a man is like going on the hunt, is like trying to fuck bitches, like fishing. We treat fucking women like a sport. We enjoy the process of it, like making yourself feel good and be attractive to other people. It's sometimes you want to go out to a bar, you don't want to get laid.
I think women feel that way too. I think everybody
everyone
feels
yeah.
A lot of people do.
You need to feel attractive to other people. That's something that but you suppress that with marriage, and that's why people get fat, they get comfortable, they get lazy, they stop taking care of themselves.
I think marriage as an institution is really the problem, because I honestly do respect marriage in a sense for people that really do practice unconditional love. I think that marriage shouldn't be as rigid as it is. Like, if you tell me that you love me for life, that means you're going to love me for all of my changes. That means that I could be a different person next year and you still going to love me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you love me for my spirit, for like who I am at the core fundamentally, but then all the changes around that, you're still going to love.
So how do your girlfriends treat the lipstick, and what do they think of your gender identity?
They fuck with it.
Yeah?
They fuck with it. Yeah. Like,
You've never bounced into problems with that?
Oh, I had a girlfriend that definitely called me the F word when she found out that I dated a trans woman before. But yeah, and ironically enough, she wound up like being queer. So I feel like it was all just like projection.
Yeah, it's self-hate. It's self-hate.
But I don't want people to get it twisted. There are straight people that are
against
homophobic. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people think like, oh, homophobes are secretly just gay, which that's kind of a homophobic thought in itself. But
I think about that all the time. Like, would I date a trans person? Like, would I? And do you think it's transphobic if I wouldn't? Like, if I don't like that? Or is it a preference? Because part of me thinks that
everything is a preference.
Everything's but part of me thinks that like deep down there's something in me that is like thinks like, oh, this is weird. It's too and that I'm holding back because I think it's too weird.
Yes. Yeah, but every preference is rooted in something. Like, even people be like, oh, like, but I like pizza. What's so bad about that? All right, but what if you never were introduced to pizza? You wouldn't even know that.
Yeah.
So it's all about what you're taught. It's all about what's made available to you. Your experiences, that's how you know what your preferences are. So I feel like...
Well, is it a preference if I prefer a real vagina? Or is real, does real even
I mean, you would
apply?
have to experience a fake one in order to really know.
Is there a difference? Can you tell a difference?
I mean, I've never...
I thought you dated one.
No, I mean, I dated someone that was trans, but they did not have most of the trans people I've met don't get sex changes. Yeah, like that's why I say that gender is very performative. It's very psychological. Like, not everyone wants to get a sex change. Some people do, but it's honestly kind of dangerous right now and expensive. So a lot of people don't opt for actually doing that.
My mom was
that shit's really scary to even think about.
My mom was telling me, like, she's a psychologist, and she was working with these university professors who were like grilling children because these children wanted to go through sex changes, and so they were going through like these extensive questionnaires and trying to the interviews to see if they were really about it.
Right.
And they were like traumatizing the kids, and my mom was basically saying that they should just be more open, that surgery should just be open for everyone like that. And I was listening to that and I was just blown away that kids could even get hormones like that. That seems weird that if you're going through puberty, you start giving hormones to a kid, or you would let a 12-year-old decide if they want to cut off their dick. Like, my mom kept getting mad at me because I said, like, you're really going to let a kid cut off their dick? She's like, don't use that terminology. But that is essentially what you're doing.
Well, it is, but I don't think I know there's hormone therapy, but in order to go through like surgery, like, you have to go through a lot. Like, I don't know not one kid that has had a surgery.
But it happens. Yeah, you're allowed to. If you're a kid, you're allowed to go through transgender surgery. And I'm like, if you can't vote, why should you be able to decide what gender you're going to be for your whole life?
Well, like, that's a bad comparison, because voting is like everybody's destiny. Like that's more like you. And children are way smarter than we think. Like, they have way more of a clear...
Why can't we let them vote? Like, we don't let them drink. We don't let them. There's restrictions we give to people. Like, okay, you're 18. You're not old enough to make these decisions. You can't go to war till you're 18 because you're not mature enough to make that decision. So why do we let kids? Why do we say that you're mature enough to make the decision that you're going to change your gender forever? How do you even know?
Is that legal in America? Where do they do that?
Yes, it's hospitals all over the country.
I don't know about that one. I have to look into that. But I definitely know, like, that there's some trans people that I know that they knew very young and they started taking hormones.
But you don't think people could be wrong? Like, maybe the kid's just gay, or maybe the kid is just confused. You know, some kids paint their nails. Doesn't mean they have to cut their dicks off.
No, I think kids know. Kids know. Kids know if they're a woman. Like, I know so many trans people that they knew when they was 4 or 5, and they wish that their parents like acknowledged it younger. Like their parents eventually did, but they were like, I didn't need to be an adult to know that. I feel like there's certain things that you need to know, that you need to be an adult to know. But then there's other things where it's like gender is, since you come out the womb, like you're already attacked with gender normativity. Like you're already attacked with, let me get this pink thing for my daughter. Let me get this blue thing for my boy.
Those
like
birth parties, what do you call it?
Right, gender reveals, like even
yeah.
that. And it's just like, you know, you're already just bombarded with that. You're not really bombarded with politics and voting and shit like that when you're a kid, but you're bombarded about boyhood and girlhood at a young age. And so that's why I think it's a weird comparison.
I was at 12, and if I was on hormones already, like, you know, jerking off in the school bathroom and just like going through this crazy change hormonally, and then to add a bunch
more, yeah.
Woo, I can see that fucking up a kid for life. And trans people are already extremely depressed. The suicide rate for trans people is so high.
But that's because they aren't acknowledged. Like their identity isn't acknowledged.
But don't you see a kid being able to make that mistake? Like maybe they fucked up, maybe they're just gay, or maybe they just...
Detransitions do happen. So I'm not going to pretend like they don't.
I've heard about that.
I can't, like, yeah, there are people that do detransition, even like starting in adulthood. Like, I mean, shit happens. People change. Like, these things happen. I personally, you know, scientists have seen that it makes trans people happier to go through hormonal surgery to transition. Whatever they got to do is going to make them happier. Like, as far as bottom surgery, that surgery is like very invasive. It's very dangerous. So anybody that was thinking about that, like, I think you need to think about that like long and hard. But you know, I think that all comes from just the pressure to have a certain genitalia. Like your penis, and mind you, my bias is I'm non-binary, so I know I'm not a binary trans person. So I'm kind of speaking on something that I can't really that I don't really experience. But your penis is not what makes you a man, and your vagina is not what makes you a woman.
But it's definitely part of it.
I think, yes, in terms of socially,
definitely
yes.
part of it. Like, part of being a woman is going through menopause when you're older, is having a monthly period, having to experience childbirth. Like, don't you think that these?
But there's a lot of cis women that don't go through that, and it's not a minority. Like, a lot of people think like, oh, that's just like, that's a defect. But there's a lot of women that will have very irregular periods, or they will have PCOS, or they can't give birth for whatever reason.
So you think there's no point in having traditional ideas of gender?
I think that you're right in a sense, because even in biblical times, you know, people were seen as less of a woman if they couldn't give birth. Yeah. Like, people would literally divorce you. Like, niggas would leave your ass if you can't have their kid. Like, it's like, well, I'm trying to create a legacy, so I'm gonna just go to somebody else and have this legacy. I feel like in our modern time, there's just so many other things that define womanhood and that define manhood, that I just feel like it's kind of arbitrary to just look at somebody's dick and say that. Because when you look at a woman, you're not even thinking about her pussy. That's probably the last thing you're thinking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like when you look at a woman, if you're attracted to a woman, you're attracted to what you see initially. Like, you don't see whether or not she has a pussy or not. I could almost guarantee you there's been some shorties on the train that you looked at that probably had a dick, but you ain't know. Yeah. And you will never know. You know what I'm saying? So attraction. But
sometimes they got an Adam's apple. It did, like, you could tell in my opinion.
But there's a lot of cis women that have Adam's apples.
No.
Yes. I've seen plenty of women that have Adam's apple. What? Yeah, there's a lot of dudes that don't really have much of an Adam's apple, like, protruding. Like, it's really a vocal thing mostly, but I guess there's definitely a correlation, you know, with the hormones and shit like that. But
do you use different pronouns? What pronouns do you go by?
I go by everything. He, she, they. People call me like whatever.
Do you think it's like I used to find
people call me she when I look more feminine. When I look more masculine, people call me he. It's all social. Like, it's what you look like. With my struggle, I feel like I be trying to look neutral, but then it's like, what is neutral? You know what I'm saying? What is neutral? Depends what
I would just say non-binary. That's I don't know. But I used to think that shit was annoying. I got to be honest. Like, in college, these people would walk around with their backpacks and they have their pronouns pinned to it. And then they would, like, raise their hand.
That does sound annoying. I'm not going to.
And then you'd introduce yourselves. Like, you'd have to do the icebreakers in the beginning. Like, I'm SNEAKO.
Did it make you feel uncomfortable? Huh? Did it make you feel uncomfortable?
To do icebreakers?
Like, all of just that whole shit.
Yeah, not uncomfortable. No.
I mean, it should. That's kind of the point.
It didn't make
It's kind of to disrupt the entire, like, cis normativity of everything. It's just like, you see how y'all niggas uncomfortable? That's how we feel every day.
Oh, okay. I just got annoyed by it because like
I could tell why it's annoying because
so we do the icebreaker and then you have to say your pronouns when you introduce yourselves like and I go by he him like okay I mean is this necessary like is this the whole point of pronouns is just a quicker way to say someone's name. It just seems like you're fucking up the English language. He, she, they, them, like he, her. It's just quick.
I mean, we fuck up the English language all the time. I'm pretty sure we've said a lot of. Yeah. I mean, even me saying nigga, like I'm using a completely different context than it was meant to.
Yeah, language evolves, but do you don't think you never get annoyed by this thing? Like you don't see these people sometimes. You're like, all right, maybe you're over identifying. Maybe you're trying to be a special snowflake. Maybe. Like just relax with all the they,
but
them.
I could definitely tell you that there's situations where binary trans people feel annoyed by it because
annoyed by what? By other people?
By people asking their pronouns.
Oh, okay.
Because it kind of like takes away the whole point of them dressing as they do to look like a woman. Like they're trying to be incognito. So if somebody walks up to you, be like, "What's your pronouns?" It's like, "Damn, am I clockable?" Like clockable is like
I understand. Yeah.
It's like damn, like so they know. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you want somebody, you don't want somebody to come ask you your pronouns. You want somebody to just straight up call you she. Like you want someone to assume. I think a good video on this is ContraPoints. You ever heard of her?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she made a video on that how it's like it's kind of a struggle because you want somebody to well, I don't know if it was ContraPoints. Might have been somebody else. I might be confusing. But yeah, like I've heard multiple people say like you want somebody to just straight up call you she. You don't want somebody to come.
How do we know? Like what if we fuck it up? And
it's
then
all
you're
assumption.
Like, don't misgender me. You fucked up.
It's all assumption. I mean, most people, to be honest, like people that are non-binary, when you fuck up their pronouns, like I've just seen them like wince a little bit maybe, but most people would just be like. Yeah, like me, I'll just cringe like inside and just be like.
I mean, but can you blame us? Like, if you look like I was hanging out with this transgender woman. She was becoming a man. She was in the transition, and we were hanging out with my other friend. My other friend kept fucking up the pronouns every time I saw him like. But at the same time, bro, you look like a girl. What do you expect people to? This is how people always speak.
Right.
This is why pronouns exist. Like, if you look like a girl, you say she. Her. It's that simple.
But I mean, I think once somebody tells you the pronouns, then it's like you gotta respect it at that point. You can't. It don't even matter how they look. Like you gotta respect it.
Yeah.
But I understand the initial assumption. The initial assumption is like we're all socially ingrained in it. Like I don't believe in making and demonizing somebody and making it seem like they're a terrible person because they misgender somebody like off rip. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you see somebody that's how you grew up. Like, but that's the whole point. Like we're uncomfortable with this, but our kids and our grandchildren, like it don't matter if we can't adjust. They will, you know what I'm saying? Like, the world is changing, and
I definitely see this as inevitable. Like, I was getting annoyed by it, but I'm like, this is the future.
It is whether you change or not, whether you adjust or not. Like, that's what's gonna happen. And the same way that our grandparents are looking at us and be like, "What the fuck?" Like, these kids are weirdos.
It's
like,
the same treatment that gay people got. It's the same trajectory,
right? Like, people thought gayness was a mental illness. You know, like people thought being transgender was a mental illness, and now we're like, well, wait a minute, they're not depressed because they're transgender. They're depressed because
they're not accepted.
We treat them like shit. Like,
it's the environment. Yeah, I definitely see this becoming the normal thing, but and people would get mad at me because I think a lot of people expect me to say that there's only two genders. That like I tweeted that earlier. I was asking people like, what do you think? How many genders? Most people follow me were saying two. What do you think? Like, have people come up and just straight up denied what you said?
What you mean?
Have people just denied? Like, if you asked, like, can you call me they them, and they just didn't respect it.
Well, I go by all pronouns, so that does so.
Well, have people disrespected your gender identity? Is what I mean. To your face.
To my face, no. Excuse me. I'm pretty introverted, so I really be staying away from people. Like unless we talk, I really like online because I don't have the awkwardness of that in person. Like, you know, you talk to people online, you're like, all right, let me figure out if you're an asshole before we meet. Yeah. You know, but I understand what you mean. Like it can happen. Like people could come up to you and say this. But a lot of times, like I just be taking it. Like I hate when people say sir. That should be making me cringe. I'm just like, why can't you just be like, yo? Why can't you just say excuse me? Like why does everything have to be a sir and a ma'am? Like I remember I said that on Twitter. I was like, yo, service workers really need to like be trained to just stop saying sir and ma'am because you don't know. Like even people that are binary trans, you just don't know. Like even times You could see a dude that identifies as a dude, but he has long hair, and then you'll be like, ma'am, and then they turn around and she's like, oh shit, I'm sorry. So don't say ma'am, say excuse me until you know
That's
for
true.
a fact.
But at the same time, these are respectful terms. These are some of the most respectful ways to address someone.
I feel you.
Can't we just like chill and be like, okay, yes, they might have misgendered me or said the wrong word, but I can respect that they were trying to be polite, and my gender expression doesn't infiltrate daily interactions like this, where you can't expect someone to know exactly what pronouns all the time.
I mean, yeah, but intention does not alleviate result. That's like my go-to motto. Like, you can have the best intentions for something, but if somebody's hurt, they hurt. You get what I'm saying? Like, you could not mean something in a certain way, but if somebody's hurt, they hurt. You got to kind of acknowledge that. Like, if I know when somebody's intentions are pure, but if something make me cringe, I don't uncringe, because they're just like, oh well, I didn't mean it. It was like, actually no, I wasn't hurt anymore. Like, I was already hurt. Then you told me your intentions. Then I was like, I could always kind of mitigate it and be less hurt by it and be like, okay, I can see, but I still had that same reaction. You get what I'm saying? Like, I could be trying to swat a fly right now and accidentally smack you. It's not gonna take the pain away. You just know that my intention wasn't to do that.
Right.
But it still hurt. So.
Do you get annoyed by people who you think use this to just create a personality? I see a lot of people in Williamsburg, and like they will. I genuinely don't believe them. I genuinely think that they're just using this for attention.
I mean, it's not for you to really decide, really.
Yeah,
it's not. It's
their gender expression.
Yeah, and if you think about it, what's the problem with that being a part of their personality? Like, everything we are is a part of our personality.
Yeah, but I don't want people to create their whole identity based on external things like race and gender and sexual orientation.
I was actually gonna bring that up too, because
Like,
I was like, we do that all the
you're more
time
than
with
that.
being black, with being
these are surface level things about a person. You're way more than that. And I see people just create their whole identity based on these things. It's like, who are you though? Like, they're always at protests and rallies and this. It's like, but bro, what do you do?
It's funny because what you just said is actually very spiritual. Because it's like, who are you is there's layers to that question. Like, who are you as a person spiritually? But then who are you, like, based off of your experiences? And your experiences are based on your identity. Like, if you didn't look how you looked, would you be treated the way you treated? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you was darker, if you were
I'm
more
phenotypically
black, or more phenotypically Chinese, or more phenotypically this or that, like,
I never really experienced like any racial profiling at all.
And your personality might be a little bit different if you did.
It would be.
Because you might move a certain way. So with people feeling this way about their gender and how they're treated, yeah, definitely, like, being a woman, being a man, being white, like, all of those things do definitely have an impact. Like, we are all products of our environment to an extent. No matter how much we don't want to be, we are all to an extent. And when you find yourself or whatever, you're trying to find yourself beyond these things. When you go through that existential crisis of like, damn, who the fuck am I besides like what the fuck I look like? And
because
what people treat
these
me
people, to me, they care so much about other people's perceptions of them. Their attraction to just identify with gender and race, or just, that's how other people perceive you. They don't seem to have found anything within themselves. You're always thinking about how other people look at you.
But how you know that?
That's my assumption.
Right.
But if I read your Instagram bio and it just says like, I'm Afro Latin X, agender, queer, lesbian, and then I'm from New York, I don't know anything
sometimes
about
that's a
you.
buffer. Sometimes that's a buffer. Like, I've had people, like people ask me all the time. So at some point I put agender in my bio and I removed it afterward, because I'm just like, people probably don't even know what the fuck this means. So who cares? But I had it in my bio because people kept asking me. Right. And so I'm just like, well, sometimes
that's you have other things in your bio too. Like, you understand that you're a filmmaker, you're a producer. Like, we know who you are. Most people, you see their bio and that's it. It's just showing how woke they are. It has the LGBTQ flag, he, him. It doesn't have anything else but just like, in the bio might say like some shit like men are trash, and that's it. The whole identity is just involved.
Yeah, I think that's less. That's definitely less of a trans issue.
This is so many people on Twitter. How many times you click on a profile and that's it? That's all they have. They got nothing else to them.
I think it's definitely not a trans issue. It's more of a, because you mentioned other things too, like being woke and shit like that. I definitely do think people create an identity around wokeness too, or
about being oppressed.
Yeah, that too. People definitely do create an identity around that. And I definitely be seeing people getting lost in the sauce to where it's kind of like when you know too much. Like I've seen people like, especially when they're like, when they just woke up, like straight, like they just came out the womb, like they just woke up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and cause I experienced that too when I was 18 years old, like everything was about being pro-black and everything was very Afrocentric and shit like that, and being indigenous and all these different things. When I was 18 and kind of started studying more, like I always knew about classism and consumerism and capitalism, shit like that. But I feel like when I was 18, that's when I really started looking into kind of like the history of racism in the country, shit like that, and around the Black Lives Matter, Trayvon Martin situations, Mike Brown. And so, you know, I kind of did become like a pro-black YouTuber. You know what I'm saying? Like people saw me as that, like, oh, that's a pro-black YouTuber. And I definitely see what you mean. Like a lot of people do create an identity around either being black or being gay or being this. I think it is a part of your identity, and I think that that's just part of people's kind of journey. Like sometimes they might be just embracing that part of themselves at the time being. Like we are all just so multifaceted where shit, there might be a time where you'll embrace this heritage and that heritage. Maybe you might start getting into spiritualism, and you all you talk about is Buddhism all the fucking time, and you can't stop talking about this one thing. And
I guess it's just people going through identity
and I'm
crisis.
sure people get
They're
annoyed.
Themselves out.
Yeah, I'm sure people get annoyed. Like my dad, like one time he was right now, like he has like these little phases. Like before he liked grills, and now he's like all he could talk about is drones. Like, oh, drones this and drones. I'm just like, my nigga, do you like anything else?
Yeah.
Like, and so I could see how that's annoying around identity too, where like people just talk about like, oh, actually, I read about this and how that's sexist. Oh, actually, I read about this and how that's, you know, so, but people go through those phases, and that's just part of their journey. And it's kind of just like, you know, you just got to be patient with people, because that might be you. It probably was you. It has been you, and it might be you again. Like, you know,
the mixed identity crisis is crazy. Like, it was especially as a kid, because I was born straight up like fresh off the boat Chinese immigrant. Like I was Chinese for the first 8 years of my life, and then I started looking more light skinned, and then I had all this hate from like, I thought that girls didn't like me because I was Asian, so I had and you know, people would, like these kids biking would call me ching chong, so I had all this like Asian masculine, like Asian men in the Western
have
world.
issues with masculinity, for sure.
Like you don't, every time we're in the movies, it's just like, oh, just kicking, and we're seen as caricatures. But then I started getting more racially ambiguous and look more light skinned, and I got treated. So I started like getting really into black stuff. I had like, you know, that the guy in the Olympics with his fist up. I had that poster. Everyone had that posters. I wanted to convert to Islam, because I was like so into Malcolm X. I was reading about him and Elijah Muhammad and all that shit, and I was like low key like becoming racist. I'm like, fuck white people. I was all into this like pro black stuff, but I still looked Asian. Yo, the identity crisis that mixed kids have is not talked about enough, or not talked about. Because it's a different kind of struggle. It's you have more of you have to go through an identity crisis. Right.
And it's funny because when you talk about it, people always think like, oh, y'all think y'all more oppressed than black people. It's like, no, there's a way to talk about it. There's a way to talk about it without being woe is me or being cringe.
I don't think it's woe is me.
Right.
I think,
it's more just, that's an
experience in a way.
It's an experience. It's part of the black experience. It's part of the Asian experience. Like what you experience is part of your blackness and your Asianness simultaneously. Like that's part of it. Like you're not the only black and Asian person in the world. There's other people that have felt what you felt.
There's not many. Well, my dad's half white, half black, and my mom is Filipino, but she looks like Korean. So already like I'm part Asian and part black, but I'm light skinned in each one. Right. And my dad's like just found out that his dad was Jewish, and he didn't even know that his whole life. Right. So now like we have all these family members dead in Auschwitz. It's like almost every couple of years there's something else that I have to. I have to try. It's like, goddamn, my grandfather couldn't just stay in one fucking place. Bro, just chill. Just like fucking your neighborhood like everyone else, man. Like taking boats.
Damn, son, he was on some sex tourism shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, shit. I mean, any other questions you have on?
Nah, I think how long were we talking for? That was like a good little podcast or whatever.
105 minutes left, and there was 175 minutes. About a good hour. 70 minutes so far, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, we could wrap that up there. Yeah. Thank you. You got anything you want to plug? You want to shout out?
I'm gonna have a SNEAKO collab on my channel soon. I still ain't forget about that. I've been slacking on that.
I thought you did.
Nah, I didn't forget about that. I literally mentioned it in my live too. I was like, yeah, I was gonna make a video on seasonal depression, but then I got seasonal depression. Yeah. But nah, I definitely didn't forget about that. Yeah, like if you guys want to have any discussions on all the snowflake shit I was talking about, because I know a lot of people probably gonna be tight in the comments like, oh my god, SNEAKO wants to pander to the trans community now. Like I already know, like if people was upset at me, they're gonna be upset at you.
That was a good white voice. That was really good.
But no, yeah, like I'm as y'all can see, like I'm very open to discussing, because it's not something that should be so confrontational. Like these conversations are important to have because the world is changing. That's the world changing right there. The world is changing very fast, and you can either get with the program or not. I mean, you could try to understand it or you could try to scoff at it, but it's changing, and there's nothing really that we could do about it but understand each other, especially in the age of the internet. Everything is changing. There's just so much information just being bombarded, and I feel like the best way to speed up these conversations is to actually have the conversation.
Yeah, we live in a headline period.
Yes.
Where it's just everyone is just reading headlines and making assumptions based on that and getting really angry before really understanding someone.
Right.
Like having face-to-face conversations, and that's how I've gotten over it. Like I used to not think that the gender thing was something I thought it was bullshit.
Right, because you look on the internet,
people and understand them.
Right, you go on the internet and you look at people that disagree with you. You might scoff, and then you see people that do agree with you, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna agree with this, because until you talk to an actual person, in front of you,
you'll just seek the information that already confirms what you believe.
Exactly. But when you're confronted with somebody that's different from you, you kind of you can't just run away from that. Like you're having a conversation. I'm right here, so like you kind of can't just. But you got to take that first step, and a lot of people just not willing to take it, to be honest. So, I mean, thanks, SNEAKO, for having me on.
For sure.
It definitely was a pleasure coming on here, talking, getting these honest conversations out, like just being honest. Like I rock with the fact that, when you know something, you're honest about that. When you don't know something, you honest about that too. Like you're very much an open book. Like you don't take no shame.
I'm not afraid of being wrong.
Exactly.
That's one
there's
thing
there's nothing shameful about that. What's shameful is being content with being wrong, or closing your mind. Like just because you're right about something, because I would be wrong too if just because I know something and I'm just like, well, screw everyone else that doesn't think how I think, because at a certain time I didn't know these things too. You know what I'm saying? Like I hate people that be woke out the womb, like people that act like they was just birthed into this world and just knew everything that they know right now, and now they don't want to talk to nobody, and they just want to gatekeep that information. Like, well, do your own research. Well,
that's research. What the woke movement seems to me like, instead of trying to educate people and get people to understand and empathize, they'd rather just come at them with cancel culture and hate. And it's like we need to be more understanding. This is what the woke progressive movement is based in, is to get people to become more empathetic. And now it's flipping. It's I see the ultra left people are so left that they become right.
Right. It's definitely well, that's kind of some like horseshoe political idea, but I can see what you mean though. Like where kind of in leftist institutions like academia especially, like the language isn't accessible, and it just becomes a point where it just becomes a circle jerk of different academic ideas, and now like you're gatekeeping information from people that need it. Like you can't say you want to change the world, but you dead not changing the world. Like you're just keeping it to these certain. You can't say that you want to change the world, but you dead ass not taking the steps to change the world. You're just staying within your own inner circle and kind of just like keeping people away and just demonizing people that don't have access to the information that you have. So, but yeah, like what was I gonna say?
What I mean by that is that the left has become so left that they're forgetting that freedom of speech was a left idea. It's like we're trying to silence people who we don't agree with. Like we're so far away and separating ourselves from Trump supporters. They get canceled, and anyone who like doesn't agree or said anything homophobic in the past, they lose their job. It's like we need to. I see the left forgetting the idea of freedom of speech, which is should be a progressive idea.
I don't think so. I think that the left is just extremely critical, like even amongst themselves. Like I'll tell you, like that's one of the things. It's a double-edged sword because the left is so analytical, because we're like anti-status quo. Like, it's very easy for the right to kind of unite on these ideas, even though they're kind of segmented off too. Like, they be having their infights. But the left is very segmented off because we know we want change. That's the general idea. But what change do we want? And everyone has a different idea of that. So there's a lot of infighting on that too. There's a lot of criticism within our own selves. We criticize ourselves and our own racism, our own sexism, all of the forces that's going on in our brain, to where other people, of course, we're going to be extra critical too. And I think that it's good. I think cancel culture for the most part is toxic, but I think it comes from the right place of criticizing people. Like, I think people should get canceled for certain things. Like, but as far as like somebody making a tweet 5 years ago, like, bro, yeah. like I think we should cancel people mostly for people that do things, not for people that say things. You know,
the cancel culture is pretty much only for words. It's for stuff that's digging up old. That happened to me.
People make shit up. People flat out make shit up. I feel like dog whistlers have weaponized cancel culture and made it implode on itself. Like, people will just make shit up. Like, literal white supremacists will just make up a story to try to cancel someone and kind of agitate the black community or black Twitter and shit like that. They'll just make
but that happened. Remember Juicy Smollett? Yeah, he did the same shit. He said that he was attacked by Trump supporters and he was hung on a rope. And they called him the N-word. Right,
it happens on both sides. Like, leftists do it too. There've been people that like will just make some shit up. Like,
that's what I mean.
Somebody wrote the swastika. Meanwhile, they wrote the swastika on their college
when you get
campus.
so far left, you end up becoming the same thing as the people that you think you hate. You're silencing. You're becoming the enemy.
I don't think it's anti-freedom of speech. Like,
you don't think cancel culture is anti-freedom of speech?
No, I don't think so. For the simple fact that no one's knocking on your door like arresting you. Like, I feel like
people lose their jobs, which is even worse. People lose their livelihood, their public persona. Like, okay, you can't even eat at restaurants.
Here's the thing: would you consider yourself like a capitalist sympathizer? Like, where are you on the economic spectrum?
I'm a Bernie supporter.
Okay, so you're like left of center a little bit.
Yeah, but I understand capitalism too, because I want to play this game. Like, I understand its flaws, but like, I'll play.
You have to play it.
I'll play. I'll roll the dice.
I'm playing it.
Yeah,
I'm in it. It's survivalism. We're here. It's not like we could just be like, okay, I'm communist, so now I'm never spending money on using money like that.
Yeah, like,
people are like, oh, you're communist,
but
you're using an iPhone that was built by capitalism.
Right.
It's like, one, it wasn't built by. It was very subsidized. That's one, but that's a conversation for another time. Y'all not ready for. But yeah, like, you know, that's just survivalism. But I think that a lot of people they want it both ways. Like, they want their freedom of speech, but they don't realize that there's also freedom of consequences. Like, if a business fires you because you're not in alignment with what they want to represent with their brand, they could do that. That's their freedom. Whether you disagree with it or not, whether you think it's bad. If a job is just like, holy shit, this person says something racist and they're making our company look bad, even though they be racist as fuck, don't get me wrong. Like, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, all these companies be having sweatshops and all this.
The problem there is that they're not doing it because of the moral and ethical reasons. They're doing it just
to
because
save face.
They're doing it because they're afraid of public outrage.
Yes.
So we're letting that win. We're letting this cancel culture. If corporations and people in charge don't look at things at face value, if you get canceled for saying something that you didn't actually mean because they're just afraid of the Twitter mob, then you're letting them win, which we shouldn't do.
Yeah, I think that cancel culture is definitely hyper individualized, just like everything in this capitalist society. Like, it's always about, okay, like a witch hunt, like, all right, who did this wrong thing? And nobody looks at the institutions that we have in place to make people even think this way. You know, everyone's just like, this person is racist. This person is sexist. Okay, so we cancel this next person. Who we gonna cancel next? Nigga, can we cancel racism? Like, actual racism? Like, as a system? Like, how can we build on society to make sure we don't live in a racist society, as opposed to just like knocking down these celebrities? Like, you knock down one, another celebrity's gonna pop up. Like, what does it matter? They're just gonna come up with another puppet.
When I was in college, they tried to get me canceled because there was a Thomas Jefferson statue in front of the school, and I was on Instagram Live making fun because there were people protesting over this. They're like with signs, like we can't focus. Their argument was that they can't focus on schoolwork because every time they walk to school, they have to look at the face of a slave owner. And it's like, dude, look in your wallet. Every fucking bill has a slave owner on the dollar bill. First off, and then I'm just trashing them, making fun of them, saying that, like, you should just go study instead. And then they dug up all my old tweets. They looked up on Twitter, SNEAKO fag, and look for all the times I said well, I said it like when I'm 13, 14, like, I'm a gaming faggot. Like, I'm just like joking when I'm fucking 14, and they tweet my school, how can you let this homophobic man walk around the campus?
Man, I was a boy when I said these things.
I didn't even go through puberty. I had no pubes. And
You didn't even know if you were one yet.
And
you didn't even know what you liked yet.
I didn't even know if I might have been gay, and I didn't.
Right.
They're like, how can you let this homophobic man walk around campus?
Right.
It's just,
yeah, that's stupid. That's stupid. Like,
they're
especially
using
since
they don't like me, so they're using the rhetoric to just silence me completely.
Right.
They tried to lose my,
because you didn't actually do something like bad to a person. You just protested against what they were saying. Like, you had reactionary, like you were what leftists call a reactionary. Like, you're like, oh, there's bills and the thing. It's kind of a deflection. Like, I would have disagreed with you, but I wouldn't have digged up an old tweet. Like, what the hell does you saying this when you was 14 have to do with that? Like,
you think they should take down the statue?
I think they should, but if they're gonna go through that, then
but these are founding fathers.
It's funny because people are like, oh, if you're gonna take down that, then you got to get rid of the
money,
the money too. Let's do that too.
Yeah,
let's do that too. Fucking like, that's actually a great idea. Like,
but
you know,
to me that's just
that's
like,
a start.
Right, now we're just denying history. We're just ignoring what happened.
I don't think that's denying history.
That's 100%. Is that saying that we didn't know that all old rich white men had slaves? They all did. Especially founding our country was built on slavery.
I don't think we need a statue to know that.
This, huh?
I don't think we need a statue for that though.
But
I think we could acknowledge that history without a
country,
statue.
Though they started the country. These 13, however, founding fathers there were. Thomas Jefferson was. They wrote the Declaration of Independence. They signed freedom of speech. Like
on
all
the backs
things
of
that make us
slaves
American.
and indigenous genocide, though.
That's what this country's based on. That's why all these people are here.
Yeah, I mean, America could get canceled all the way. Like, if everybody got sent back home, listen, you debating with a radical, so all these things you saying, I'm gonna.
So you really want to just like change the country upside down?
We can never go back to that. Like, that would just be a hypothetical. We can't undo all of that shit, right? Like, I don't think that like anyone will ever forget like what these slave owners
like hypothetically, if you were in charge, your rhetoric would be changing capitalism, making it a communist state, flipping all the things we have in all American traditions.
That would take a lot of force. Like, it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't be something that could happen overnight. I'll tell you that.
It would take war. It would take years of war.
Yeah, if you wanted something like that to happen overnight or even within like a year, like that would take a lot of war.
Is that even realistic to expect of this country?
No, I think if a communist, like, I mean, there is a communist revolution. Like, we're in it. You know, like
what? Really?
Yeah, like we're in it. Like, communist revolution isn't just somebody deciding to wake up with pitchforks and just going and taking down fucking Tsar Trump. Like, it starts with the mind. Like, it starts with people talking about it. It starts with propaganda. Like, it's a propaganda war. Like, you know, the fact that we have, you know, communism and capitalism it has it in common that they have something in common, and that's that it's only sustainable when it's global. Like, capitalism by itself, like without slavery, it's very hard to see capitalism being as big as it is without slavery. Like, you can't just remove slavery and say like, oh yeah, capitalism would have been as successful today without all of that shit and imperialism and all that stuff and all the things we do today, like all the wars. And communism is unsustainable because capitalism literally relies on imperialism and taking over land. So you think a capitalist is gonna let a fucking communist country be? There's no evidence of that. There's never been a communist country that America didn't fuck with. You know, that didn't like mess with and sabotage and send agents to and
so it's either one or the other.
Right. And so that's over time. Like, we can't just like with the whole communist revolution happening right now, different countries, I think America would be the last place where communism would like be. Like, America is going to have to be every country against America because
it won't happen. This is never going to happen.
I think it will, just not in our generation. Probably not in our kids neither.
I mean, Bernie Sanders was to me just like very obvious. Like, if you just reason and almost objectively, like obviously the best candidate. Like,
yes, I'll say that.
By miles. Like, for the last 2 elections, like, I'm not that into politics, but like obviously this is the guy. He's the one person who stayed that. But even then, just the fact that he said he was a democratic socialist scared enough people to just. No one even listened to what he had to say. War. Nobody cared. Right. Like, it was just the fact that he said socialist. Nobody listened.
Yeah, you could assassinate every fucking person in office right now, but it's not going to change the people's minds. Like, ideas are so pervasive that you'll have poor people saying like, yeah, we want corporations. Like, we want them to oppress us because why? Because we've been so manipulated into believing like, oh, one day that can be me. One day I can be the fucking trillionaire Jeff Bezos and own a company like Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, like, we've all been brainwashed to think that this shit is feasible when that's like, what, 0.01% of the population?
It is feasible. There is a possibility. There
It's
is a
possible, but is it
possibility.
probable? That's the better question.
I mean, that's up to you, man. I've been thinking about. I read a book about called Outliers, about why ultra successful people are just based on circumstances, like their race or where they were born, what time of day, or like all these factors out of our control. But you know, since I started YouTube, it was always, I've made so many videos about like my aspirations and what I want to do, like from when I was 14, 15, and I've done them.
Right.
Like where I am right now, I wanted to be in New York City, like performing. I can't do stand-up comedy now, but I wanted to be here doing stand-up, like, and be able to sustain myself. I said, like, when I was a kid that I'd be happy doing this, and I'm there now. So to me, like, the fact that I just said what I wanted to do and did it, and like, now I'm at the point where I'm going to be a millionaire by 30. That's going to happen. Like,
a millionaire versus a trillionaire, though, bro.
Yeah.
A millionaire is a pretty humble aspiration compared to even a billionaire. I'm not gonna lie, like a millionaire, like that's not too bad. Like to be a billionaire, you could be a billionaire.
I don't think I
Arguably,
could ever be a billionaire.
other communists gonna be mad at me, but I think you could be an ethical millionaire. Like I think you could build that wealth, like in an ethical way. But I mean, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism.
You don't think?
I understand. Yeah, because it's like even if you think of like the fucking sheets on your bed, the clothes you're wearing that I'm wearing. It's not
what
coming
about
from
Patreon,
something.
for example? Like I people send me money. Just that's the most direct transition.
Yeah, I think like that would be the closest thing to like
that's the number one source of money, my revenue right
an
now.
ethical way to like make bread. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like, but you know, like a billionaire, like that's like capital, like snowball.
Yeah, you
like,
can't do that from OnlyFans.
You can't just do right. You ain't about to be a billionaire or trillionaire just off of not oppressing niggas, not like paying people slave wages.
There's got to be some suffering.
There has to be, like, you're stepping on the
Someone's
backs of
suffering
others.
somewhere.
Like,
yeah.
Even in everything that we do, like the food that we eat, it's just there's no way. Like we're all active participants in this, and I feel like I said, there's this hyper individualist idea that I'm a good person because I'm just a little more kinder than everyone else. Like the things that I can consciously do, like within my power, I could try to minimize my footprint, but you know, me just being able to be here right now, it's like there's a lot of certain privileges that I have that are off of the backs of imperialism, like things that were provided to me due to the economy, like the fact that we even have clean, free water.
All the trains, all the railroads are built by like Chinese people.
Exactly, you know. So you look at these things, it's like we really sitting on fucking graves of indigenous people and shit. So we're all kind of participants, even if we didn't choose. Like we were born into it. We like you said, we're playing the game. It's the capitalist game. Like you could play the game,
and I'm willing to keep playing the game.
That's
like,
all you could do. Like all you could do until you do like me. Everybody's playing the game to some extent to try to make some type of bread. Everybody's gonna play the game, whether you're a communist or whatever. All of that is just part of the survival and playing the game. Now, when you go out your way to be a billionaire, if you're really trying to be ethical, you gon' fall behind in the race real fast. If you're trying to be
ethical.
Ruthless.
Yeah,
it really is ruthless. Like, you know, I feel like a lot of creators like us, we have like these aspirations to make money off of our art and be fucking wealthy and do whatever the hell we want, just have freedom off of our art. And it's a very wholesome idea, and I think that it is definitely possible. But yeah, like when you look at shit like trillionaires and stuff like that, like was there a trillionaire before Jeff Bezos or nah? I don't think so, right?
I think he's I don't know.
I think he about to be the first.
I don't know any others.
Like he's on his way to it.
Yeah,
type
he
shit.
will be.
But yeah, man, like change these dollar bills, man. Put Harriet Tubman on that 20. What happened to that?
I do. Yeah. I
what happened to that, man? Put Harriet Tubman on that. Put everybody. I mean, why are there even people on the money? Like, who cares?
It's facts.
Who the fuck cares, bro?
It's like all these streets, like the avenue. Why the fuck is? I don't want to say my avenue, but like, why do they have all these?
He's about to snitch on yourself.
Yeah.
Sneako?
Just say 7th or 8th or not. Just why have the long Lennox? Malcolm
it's an homage. I understand it. It's
but you don't understand the thing with money. What's the difference? There's no difference. It's the same.
Money is money, but it's like, you know,
streets are streets. It's a grid.
Yeah, but you're in your neighborhood, like, you know, it's kind of like the history of the neighborhood. So I kind of understand it. I feel like in a sense, statues, you don't need statues. I feel like that's aggrandizing. Like I feel like that's more than just like, okay, this was.
I mean, no matter how you put it, we're just immortalizing
it's so subjective.
people who are
it's
important.
Subjective. I guess it is very subjective.
And it seems ridiculous to me to protest the founding fathers, because then
you start have to protesting everything else.
Yeah, then it's like, all right, where but are you going?
That sounds like a limit on your activism. It's like you acknowledge one thing, but then it's like once you start acknowledging everything, it's kind of like you have to uproot your entire life, and that's what happens with a lot of activists. And that's
Do you
why
think you've done that? Have you uprooted your entire? Are you vegan?
No. I was at some point. I try to eat as vegan as possible.
But what, you just like chicken too much?
No, it's just really hard to find vegan shit. Like, to be cooking every day, like, I don't got time for that shit.
Yeah.
Cooking 3-4 times a day, like.
I don't know how you could be vegan in Harlem. There's no, I don't see
There's not much. There's not much.
Nah.
Yeah, and the restaurants be ass half the time, like vegan restaurants. Like, there's not really too many good ones in Manhattan in general. But yeah, like uprooting your whole life, I feel like that's what it means to be an activist. And I think that Americans, we've gotten so comfortable at this point with so much luxury, so much internet and shit, where we can let go of those feel-good hormones of doing the right thing and putting some tweet out, calling somebody out. And then once we get those hormones out, like, yeah, I did a good thing today. Now back to just sitting on my ass, you know? It's kind of like slacktivism. With
this activism and cancel culture is that I really don't think that these people even care about the issues that much. It just feels good to not be wrong. It feels good to feel like you're right. To call someone
virtue
else,
signaling.
You're the bad person. You're the evil person. We're canceling you. This system is bad. This is oppression.
It's bullying.
It's
a lot of bullying.
You get to feel good. You get to feel like you're on the right side.
It's a lot of it is bullying. I could definitely say that.
Moral bullying.
I had to get off Facebook for like 2 years because that shit got incessant. Like somebody was being canceled every week. Like, and it would be somebody at the top of the food chain, like they're the wokest ones, right? In the whole clique. Out of maybe like 20, 30 people. Then they do something problematic or they say something problematic. Then they get canceled. Then the next person rises to the top and they're like the king of the wokeness or whatever. It's like, it just gets incessant. It's like, okay, what are we doing? How are we really changing the world? We ain't changing shit.
We're not. It's just a lot of talk.
We're just sitting here bashing each other.
We're not,
like, I feel like you could do both at the same time. But you can't just do one. Yeah. Like you could do both at the same time. But if you're gonna do all that,
gonna happen. There's gonna be no revolution.
Picture
we're all talk, man. We're not gonna. Nobody has the energy to go to a fucking rally. No one wants to.
I'm not gonna hold you. I can't even sit here and debate your point too much because you're very right. I think that there are a lot of people that are doing the work for sure.
I agree with some of the stuff like you're saying about communism. I agree with veganism. But I'm lazy. I want to eat chicken.
I get it.
I want to buy an iPhone. I have a Samsung, but like I want to buy a nice like Chinese kid made phone because they're faster, they're cheaper, they're better. I'm gonna order Amazon packages. I'll make Jeff Bezos richer because I don't feel like leaving my house. Like I want to come.
Humans love leisure. Humans are very lazy.
I'm too cozy with this shit. Like it's just I'm used to all these luxuries that I could never.
Humans really love leisure.
Yeah, man.
We
get comfortable.
Even it's like whether you're middle class, whether you're poor, whether you're homeless, like human beings really love leisure. Like, you know, like we have all these distractions, all these luxuries, the Amazon, all these conveniences to kind of like make our lives feel a little more polished. The fucking payphones that homeless people could watch porn on now or charge their Obama phones on. Like, you know, all these just little things to make us kind of pass time, and time is just passing us by.
Yeah.
By the time you look,
they're all distractions.
By the time you actually come up with a plan for a revolution, you're 60 years old, can't even fucking do that shit anymore. Like
it's over.
Right.
Your back gave out 2 decades ago.
Right. Which is why a lot of people believe in accelerationism and trying to like, you know, provoke people into
What's
like
accelerationism?
That and like just like straight up kind of like agitating the people to try to do something. Like it's almost like when something bad happens, it's like, oh shit, here's another excuse. Maybe this is what's going to bring us closer to the revolution.
Yeah, that's why people always use school shootings for their political advantage.
Right, exactly. It's like, well, shit, here's more proof. Do we need more proof? And I mean, shit, even the FBI did that when they were trying to figure out serial killers. It's like they were just waiting for another serial killer. It's like, damn, if we really catch this guy, we ain't going to really be able to see the pattern of shit. But if another person dying will give us more information.
Right.
You know, like we can arrest this guy, but we don't have enough evidence. But if we let him go and then something else happens, then we kind of could see.
There's a lot of comics talking about how the government's going to use COVID restrictions like social distancing and to start implementing more government control that they've wanted to, like installing. China's, have you seen that they have robots walking around parks now?
Oh yeah, the dogs.
Those
yeah,
little Black Mirror fucking robot dogs.
Yo, that shit crazy.
Yo, like the government could start using that to put more cameras in, to watch us, to have scanners to see if you're really 6 feet apart.
Any type of you know, I don't believe that COVID-19 was like created for that, but I definitely believe that politicians will use any excuse, like anything that happens, any type of tragedy, any type of anything, politicians will take the soapbox and say, okay, this is why we need this, you know? So I could definitely understand that. And yeah, with COVID-19, there's just so much shit going on. It's like, I don't even know where the world's going to be in 2021.
Yeah. That's been part of the reason that's been holding me back from creating recently. Is this?
Are you gonna get to relax like this ever again?
Probably not. But I don't even feel relaxed. Like I'm relaxing, but it's not like I'm. There's so much more anxiety in the world right now. It's this tension, and you don't even know if like the world's going to be the same. It's like, how do I make these regular videos? And I'm still going. I'm in the middle of an existential crisis with everyone else. You feel that way at all? Like that's been holding me back a little. Like,
I mean, yeah, I even said it. Like I even said it before. I was just like, me. I know I'm good. Like financially, if I wanted to make a shit ton of money right now, I could. Everybody's indoors. Everybody's looking for content to watch while they're bored at home. I could make a ton of money, but it's like, me, I even feel bad. It's like, damn, all these people lost their fucking jobs. It's like, yeah, sure, I get a leg up and I get a leg up financially making content. Like I work from home, easy for me. At the expense of who though? Like all these people, like
you could just make that money and then give it to them if you feel that bad.
I mean, that's true, but it's probably not going to be that much money. It's probably going to make their lives good for about, what, like a week or two?
Yeah.
I mean, shit.
It's going to be a good week, though.
Shit, if Jeff Bezos gave up, but we're not going to talk about that. But, yeah, like, definitely the anxiety of, like, not creating. I've just let that go. Like, I feel like I already had a head start on, like, that anxiety of not creating. Like, because I haven't been, like, super consistent in the last like 2-3 years, and at first I was beating myself up about it. Then I was just like, well, I'm 23, I'm getting my emotional life together, my relationships. There's more than this YouTube shit. I am more than my career. I am more than being successful. Like I still have relationships to deal with. I still have friendships. I still have myself to find. Like I have my relationship with my community. Like sometimes niggas need to just chill out. Like, I feel like
for 3 years.
Yeah. Why not? I feel like people always just be so obsessed with being productive.
Yeah.
People are so obsessed with productivity, but what is productivity? Is it always some material gain? Like, what about how you're growing? What about what you've learned? There's a lot of people that make all this money and they can't even tell you one thing that they fucking learned in a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I be asking my boys that all the time that be putting themselves down like, damn, bro, I feel like I wasted this time. I could have did this. I'm like, all right, but you didn't know what you know now. When you were 18, you didn't know all the information.
You don't stress at all about not being productive? That's like one of my number one.
I do stress. I'm not even gonna lie. Like
even today, like I didn't do much today, and the whole day
I'm mad at myself. I was mad at myself for the last like 3 days. I'm just like, well, I had like 2 weeks to edit this particular video that I was gonna make that was topical, and I ain't do it just off of pure laziness. Like I could have been did that shit, got it out the way, but I don't put myself down about it. Like I'll be mad. Like feel your feelings, be mad at it, but I feel like you don't have control over your emotions, but you definitely have control over how you internalize that emotion. Like if you sitting there harping over something and you start to let an emotion define you and you're just going down this fucking rabbit hole, like I'm not productive, I'm worth less, like that's where you get yourself into trouble, because when you attach yourself to anything that is temporary, then you're attaching your value, I should say, to anything that's temporary. When that that temporary thing is gone, who are you after that?
Yeah.
Like people always have this obsession of not falling off, or oh, this person fell off. This is like, bro, I don't give a fuck if y'all think I fell off. I have a life. I'm still a human when the cameras is off. I'm a human when you close your laptop. I still have a whole life. I'm still breathing.
But I don't think I could be the person I am without YouTube. Like without my content, I don't think that I'd be able to function properly. Like I need this creative outlet.
But you could create, and it doesn't matter who watches you, who doesn't. You're still an artist. Damn, this shit turned into a whole therapy session.
You're right, but yeah, you're right. But then
I get it though. If you're
making art that nobody sees, like, does it really
art?
Fucking matter? Yeah,
I get what you mean, because art is
in the eyes of the beholder.
Right. Art is a living, breathing thing. It's like it doesn't even mean, it's not even yours anymore once you create it. It's everyone else's. The people that interpret it. It's like it just, things take on completely new meanings. Like I'm pretty sure when Shakespeare wrote the shit he wrote, like he wasn't thinking the shit that we thinking. He probably looking at it and be like, that's not what the fuck I meant. Like people be dissecting.
If he even wrote all that shit.
Right. He probably had ghostwriters.
Yeah, definitely.
But fucking yeah, composers had a lot of transcribers writing that shit for them all the time. But yeah, like people be dissecting Drake lyrics, and I'm just like, bro, that's not that he was not thinking that hard, I promise you. But it doesn't matter if they were thinking that hard. It's about us. It's art belongs to the people. It belongs to the collective humanity and what the fuck we make of it. Because when those people die, the people that created it lives on. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely get what you mean. Like you have to create, but You do have your whole
But
life.
The difference is that you see yourself more as an artist, and I do see myself like that. But at the same time, I'm also an influencer. Yeah, I'm a businessman.
I mean, you're very business minded. So
I'm in this, but I've been struggling with that for a while. Like, how do I balance the business and the creation? Like, I made a couple videos with my girlfriend in it, and it's like, man, I can make a couple channel and get to.
I was thinking the same. Yo, I was literally
so easy. Like, everyone knows it. Like, the comments. All
I was like, SNEAKO know what he doing. They about to eat this shit up.
It was easy work. You put the thumbnail, everything. It was easy.
I was like, all he got to do is braid her hair once. It's over. It's over.
Get her to put a do-rag on me and shit like that. There's so much content that I could make from that. So much couple content, but I don't want to. I'm afraid of selling out, but I'm also afraid of not making money.
And you don't want to sabotage your relationship neither.
Nah, you don't want to broadcast all that online.
Yeah, you don't. It's
even now, like, it was so crazy.
You start to dissociate your connection to someone when you're like, would we be doing this if it wasn't for the camera right now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard because it's a moment. It's still an intimate moment. Like, even when you're performing, like, you're performing together. That's something that you share. But yeah, like the crazy thing,
somebody screenshotted. I was on this actress's Instagram live, and she was just talking to the camera, and I commented, "Take off your shirt." And she wasn't gonna take off her shirt. She was just answering questions. I was trying to be funny, and then someone screenshotted that and sent it to my girlfriend. Whoa! Like, there's 700 people in this live. I didn't
think that's how you verified.
That was the first time that I felt like that level of fame. Like, this is crazy. Like, I can't do anything.
What your girl said?
She wasn't mad. She just sent laughing emoji. She didn't. Luckily, that's how you know.
She wasn't impressed with that.
No, she wasn't.
She already knows your personality. Like, you just a meathead. Like, you just be screwing around. But
it's good that she accepts that, because most, like, a lot of women before, they would try to change that. They go into the relationship thinking like, all right, I'm gonna fix him.
Right.
Nah, and it's not. You're not gonna fix me. I met you on Tinder.
People change when they want to meet. When they want to change.
Yeah.
If you're gonna change, it's because you could change an inspiration of someone.
You can't force.
Maybe her being so accepting of you is gonna be like, well, shit. Like, she accepts me as I am. Like, it might inspire you to change. Then, who knows? Maybe it's reverse psychology. You'd be like, shit, you accepting me? Fuck out of here. I'm about to change. I'm about to switch up on your ass. But like, shit, I'm polyamorous. You know damn well if I mean, I made a mukbang one time with we was eating tacos. Me and my girls, we was eating tacos in LA. It's like the first time I ever, like, first of all, I was in LA, and it was a poly vlog, and it was a mukbang. Like, people ate that shit up. Like, all of the comments, like, oh my god, what about this? Asking all these invasive
that content is so
questions.
easy. Like, if you just do the trends, if you just do prank videos, it's tempting. Nah, you like you see those vlogs, and they're just like faking and lying the whole time. They're doing this weird play acting, like, oh, I'm gonna hide away from my boyfriend for 24 hours. Like, no, you're not. We know they
exactly.
Come on.
Nah, I made sure to tell them, like, I was like, all right, if we gonna do anything, it gotta be genuine. We ain't gonna force shit. Like, nothing. Like, there's been times where I've turned on the camera and be like, nah, I don't feel like doing that. Bet. So we not recording.
Because you can feel the energy's off.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And if they want to record it, they want to record it. But there was a time where we wanted to vlog, but it's like, no. And it's also the awkwardness of, like, what if you break up? You know what I'm saying? Like, then everyone attacks us. Like, people for years, like, shorty that I dated when I was like 17, people be, oh, what happened to this girl? Because they saw a video of her when I was like 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that was 5 years ago.
You couple channels.
Like I said, you immortalize. Anything you put out is immortalized. Even when you was 14 years old. Like, and you wasn't thinking that when you was 14 years old that when
I was aware. I was aware. Like, because when I was a kid, everyone always was talking about, like, anything you put on the internet is there forever.
That's
like,
very true. But I'm pretty sure you didn't think you would be at this level of fame, did you? Or no?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Yeah. This is like where I am is where I want it to be.
Damn, so you was ready for that at that point.
Yeah.
You had to be ready. You was like, shit, I knew the day would come.
That's why I've always
not because of a fucking statue, but I knew the day would come.
I did.
At least it happened now and not later. It'll probably come up later again anyway, but.
What will come up later?
The same shit.
Yeah.
Like, people will cancel you and then uncancel you and then cancel you for the same shit, and it's just going to keep happening. It's just like I said, it's immortalized. Like, some people don't even know. Like, with Doja Cat, like, she been said some shit that was problematic before. People were like, oh my God, she said this. It's like, yeah, I thought everyone knew this. But no, like, some people really get put onto you later on. Like, somebody might find you right now and be like, holy shit, I thought this guy was cool, and when he was 14, he said something bad.
Those are very few people. I'm not really afraid of that. to be honest. I think cancel culture. I think being canceled again would be good. I can get another fire video out of that. Just responding to that. Ooh, that'd be great. I would go off.
Some good damage control.
Yeah. That would go viral, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Shit, like the James Charles shit, the Bi sister.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
That in a week.
That was the biggest comeback ever. But yeah.
I gotta take a.
Yeah, I'm guessing we should probably end it now because your battery probably gonna be dead. Because my shit is on 3 minutes right now.
Wow. It doesn't have any record limit?
Nope, no record limit. Huh. We've been recording for about 100 minutes now.
Damn.
Yep.
Did you hack it or it just comes like that?
It just comes like that. It's a film camera, so it's like supposed to be for time lapse and like documentary shit, like rolling all day. Yeah. Like I could hook it up if I had like my power adapter. I could hook it up to this and like put it in the wall, and it would just keep going, and I could just change the.
Oh yeah, for like not every film camera.
Yeah. And it has 2 slots too, so I could literally be recording and then just like switch the slot over and then just keep.
I gotta get me one. Does it shoot 4K? Mm-mm. Yeah.
No. There's one that does shoot 4K. I think that's like the C200 or the C300 shoots 4K. Yeah. But that shit overheats so fast and the battery dies so fast.
That hasn't made that much noise. I'm surprised.
Yeah. It has an air vent in it too. When it's going too crazy. Yeah, you should just
shut off again. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for coming by.
Maybe I could just sit next to you for this last shot.
Thanks for coming to the crib, sitting on the floor with me. I have chairs, but this was more comfortable.
Right,
that's my excuse.
You already know, it's the Biggity Beast from the East Almonte, East Side Harlem repping, and we gonna holla at you.
Get it.